Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, here with another episode of my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
Wow, I'm digging the cardigan, man. You brought the smoothness to the episode today.
You know, it's fall season, y'all. It's fall season to the season here.
Let me say what I think it is. We got a special lady in the studio with us, and I think my man really trying to flex a little bit.
Is he trying to flex for me?
I think so.
Ooh.
Honestly, I wasn't. But when you walked in, I'm like, I'm happy I did it. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy I put it on. Because let me tell y'all who we got up in here today, y'all. We have an OG of this space. I'm talking about somebody who has graced all respected major networks and had this conversation over and over again, every possible way you could at the highest levels. And now she's here with us today on Hardly Initiated, your therapist, our therapist, Dr. Spirit. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
I love that. Thank you. And it's always a new conversation, right? Because everybody that comes into the space is going to have something new to bring to it. So whatever it is you want to talk about, it's going to be new tonight. Let's do it.
Yes.
Now, this is proof that we've been listening. Guys, we did a survey about a month ago. We had a bunch of people fill out that survey. We saw Spirit's name on it. So we are listening to y'all. We take the membership very seriously. So members, just look out for a survey within the next couple of weeks because we need to get a whole new list of people that y'all want us on the show. And I'm going.
And tell them you want me to come back. I appreciate you guys. Whoever brought me, thank you.
Yeah.
And
this tryouts. Let's see if she make it. This tryouts.
Yeah, and Spirit is TV. I mean, you've been on some of the biggest shows that's been out. I mean, Dr. Phil, you just came off of Lisa Bilyeu, and you did her a couple times. I mean, guys, if you seen Spirit ever, if you ever see her drop some game or some relationship content, some mental health content, please drop Spirit in the chat right now.
Drop that Spirit. And today, y'all, listen, we're going to be telling and talking about whether or not you should forgive. It's going to go deep, this show, y'all.
Ooh, is that what we're talking? Forgiveness?
Yes. It's going to go very, very deep. So we had to make sure we brought somebody that can grab a shovel and dig with us.
You're about to make some people's feelings hurt tonight.
Is that what's going to happen?
Oh, yeah, because there are some people, I'm sure, right now trying to figure out if they should forgive somebody. And now they're thinking, should I keep this on or should I turn this off? Right? Depending on, because there's some folks that want some forgiveness, but they don't really intend to do what it's going to take in order to have that forgiveness. They're going to want their babies to turn this off. They're going to be like, baby, you ain't got to watch it. How about I take that to dinner tonight? Because, I'm going to keep it all the way 100, right? And then there's folks that are like, man, I'm right in the middle of this storm and I need to know, should I just let it go and forgive? Yeah. Or should I get all the way back in or should I just walk away? This is the last time. So we're going to help some folks out tonight.
This is the last time.
And it's probably some people who've lied to themselves about forgiving.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks who think that they have forgiven and they know that they haven't. There's a lot of folks who don't want to forgive and aren't ready to forgive, but the people around them are trying to pressure them to forgive. There's a whole lot when we talk about forgiveness. What does it truly mean to forgive?
Hold on. Wait. You're going too crazy already. Hold on, Dr. Spirit. Hold on. Tell the people the announcements that's coming before we get into the game.
Excellent. So I'll keep it real quick so we can get to Spirit. Now, listen, guys, welcome to the Facebook group. I know you've been joining us for the past couple of weeks. We're not going to do this very long, guys, and you only got 30 minutes. So after that 30 minutes is up, please join us in YouTube in the chat because we are excited to get an opportunity to meet you. This is big, guys. All super chats. So the super chats have been going crazy. Keep in mind, all super chats are highlighted, but anything at or above $10 will actually be read on air. And tonight, very special. So I want you to send those super chats so you can get the specific detail that you're looking for your situation from Spirit. We got her for a good time, not a long time, right?
$10. Come on.
Exactly.
That's insurance.
Her rate's way higher than that, right? So this is the thing, guys. And I wanted to give y'all an update. It's official. We did exactly what we set out to do, guys. We were raising $3,500 to get the studio sound treated. We actually are figuring that out right now because we raised the money since August. This is from August 1st all the way up to today, guys. The goal was $3,500. We've officially raised $3,574.72 via super chat.
Thank you, guys.
Hit us with that hand clap, Lano.
Thank you, guys.
So, guys, we appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like button and click the link that I'm about to drop so you can go ahead and join that email list. Let's get it rocking, Ty.
Let's get it rocking because before we get into it, let's kind of talk about some of the common, misconceptions about forgiveness, okay? With your time in this space, what have you seen that to be? if you can just give us some common misconceptions people might have about forgiveness. Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Oh yeah, that to forgive means we'll never talk about it again. Right? To forgive means that somehow I have amnesia about that. It never existed. So forgiveness somehow means that it's off the table and that it's not affecting anything. When really to forgive is something completely different.
It's something. Okay, now you teasing that. What exactly?
Well, you said slow down.
Exactly? What exactly does it mean? Oh no, it's all gas now. We at it now.
Oh, we at it. Okay,
what does it mean to forgive?
To forgive means that I am willing to move beyond your hurting me. I'm willing to move beyond a violation. And often say, okay, that's cool. I forgive you, but we haven't really moved beyond it. We will continue in relationship with somebody, but be stuck exactly in that space. And oftentimes the reason why we can't actually forgive is because no one has reassured us in that situation that it will never happen again. So I may stay in relationship with you saying, okay, that's fine. I forgive you. When really I can't forgive you, because to forgive you might mean that you will go back and rewound me in the exact same way that either you have or somebody else has before. And oftentimes the one person that stops us from being able to forgive is not the person that's sitting across from us. It's the person that's looking at us in the mirror. We often have not forgiven ourselves from the wounds that we've allowed ourselves to experience. So we've got layers and layers and layers when it comes to forgiveness.
So here's the thing. Obviously, in this lifetime, people are going to do you wrong. It's going to be things that you just have to forgive people for. That's the reality.
Why do you have to forgive?
Now, that's my question. Should I look at forgiving everyone? Or do some people not deserve forgiveness?
Well, it depends. What do you think it means to forgive somebody?
When I think of the word forgiveness, now she gotta put me in therapy now.
That's a good question.
I promise I will not therapize you.
No, that's a good question.
That's
a good question. So when I think of forgiving somebody, I look at forgiveness symbolic with this letting go. It's like a freeing of me holding something I have, an emotion in particular, against that particular person. So when I think of forgiving them, it's just me releasing whatever hold or emotion I have stuck in me for that person, getting it out, just releasing it, whether that's anger, that's disappointment, that's shame, whatever that might be, it's the release of that. As it associates to them.
So is that saying like you're not gonna be upset about the situation no more?
Exactly. That's how I would define forgiveness. But what do you think of that?
I think that is a healthy way to do that, which is why a lot of people talk about forgiveness being something that you give or that you do for yourself. But I don't necessarily think that forgiveness means I'm going to release all of the emotions around that. And it's unrealistic because let's say, for example, as a child, you had someone who neglected you or who molested you. To release that, to say, I'm going to forgive you for what it is that you've done to me. And oftentimes we don't even process the trauma and take into its totality what we've had experienced in a particular situation. So to say that I'm going to forgive you for something that I haven't even processed myself is really rewounding to you. Because you will constantly be triggered in the space with that person. You will constantly be triggered in your thoughts about the experiences that you had with that person. And oftentimes we're so quick to want to rush to forgiveness. And it's not us that wants to rush. It's everybody around us so that they can feel comfortable. Can you just let that go? Can you just stop talking about that? Can you just stop bringing it up? Can you just stop having an attitude about that? See, you need to take that to the altar and just leave it there so that you can move on. But how can I move on if I've never even given voice to the wound? How can I move on if I've never even had the wound treated? How can I move on if it's never been rehabilitated? How can I move on if nothing has been put in place to ensure that I won't continue to be rewounded once I let it go? So forgiveness has layers to it. Forgiveness, often letting it go as you're describing it, is often the last step. But because we're trying to jump there like it's the first one, that's why you have people walking around in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, still holding trauma that happened to them in their childhood. That's why you have siblings who are 60 years old who don't talk, parents who don't communicate with their kids, brothers and sisters who just cannot get it together, couples who are still looking like their divorce should have happened 20 years ago, but still in relationship over what happened when they were dating.
Yes.
Right? But saying, I forgive you. But
fake forgiving.
It's not fake. It's believing that I have. Not recognizing, it's like saying that I'm healed because I got a keloid when the bullet is still in me.
Wow. That's a great analogy.
That is a beautiful analogy.
Right. So think about all the trauma, right? Somebody who broke a bone but never really got it treated. And then they say, oh, well, when it rains, it's I get the aches and the pains. Oh, when somebody touches me in the wrong way, it hurts. Every so often, if I move on it the wrong way, it'll go numb on me. If we do not treat our wounds and fully, completely rehabilitate them, we are left to deal with them over and over and over. And that is why we bleed on other people as well. Because when they come and they touch that space where that place has been wounded without them recognizing it, we are forced to deal with that pain all over again.
I literally had that
all over again.
Metaphorical experience happen to me in real life.
Ooh, you want to share? Okay, wait, we might therapize him now. Do you want, would you like to share?
Well, it wasn't an emotional wound. It was like a physical wound. But I actually broke a bone in high school. I didn't do the proper therapy afterwards. They gave me a route. You either do surgery or you do therapy. I said, well, I'm gonna just do some therapy. I don't want to go under the knife. Didn't really fully commit to the therapy. And now at my adult ages, I had a moment, like I think it was 6 months ago, where I had to completely just leave the gym. I couldn't lift any weights.
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything. And after going to the chiropractor, he explained to me, because of the trauma that I had experienced literally in high school and never fully rehabilitated what had happened.
Which is painful, because the rehabilitation is a painful process.
Which it was an extremely painful process, which is why I half-assed it. I got it to a point where I could deal with it.
Where it's enough.
Where it was enough.
Yeah.
And I was able to still get through my day-to-day with it there and almost forget about it. And let me tell you what was so interesting. What he said what's interesting is your body, what ended up happening, my muscles around it started to adapt to the trauma.
Yeah, it atrophies. Right.
And what happened is it started to damage other parts of the things surrounding it.
Okay, so now what I need you to do is connect the dots that emotional wellness or mental wellness is synonymous with physical wellness. And the same thing that happens to you physically also happens to you emotionally. And so if you do not heal places and spaces completely where those wounds exist, you will lose ranges of emotions. You will lose ability to show up in your fullest expression of yourself. Your body will literally adapt to the traumas and the wounds that you have had and limit your ability to be fully and completely in relationship with everything that you could be in relationship with, including the relationship that you're having with yourself. It is literally that way. And so when we see people trying to be in relationships with each other, what we have is so many people with all these unhealed wounds who are trying to have their whole parts line up with people's wounded parts and vice versa. And so when you recognize that, then you will recognize, oh, shoot, hold on. I'm a wounded person trying to be in relationship with somebody who is wounded. Neither of us have done our healing work and we're trying to operate at 100%. It's impossible to do.
Man, this sweater thick as hell and I got chills. I don't even know how that's. I don't even.
That's because it's wide open in the front. It's wide open. You
it's wide open. That's why.
Give the ladies some of that. They might like it.
If you got to go back and take a look at internally what you got going on before you can forgive somebody, I would imagine it's a bunch of people who have really not truly forgiven the person that had on their mind or the person that put them through some level of issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what the hard part is, unfortunately, what happens is even if we say that we've forgiven that person, and a lot of times we really do think that we have, but what we're doing is we're doing it from a place of survival because we're trying to still figure out how to stay in relationships with these people. So oftentimes, wait, he just caught that.
Yeah, I caught that one. Okay, that makes sense.
I can't. Let me actually add to this right here because you said something that was so deep. You lose the range in emotion.
Yeah.
I remember, shout out to my mom. She's probably watching this. I don't know. She'll be like,
Mom.
why you talking about me on this show? My mom went through something young when she was younger that was pretty traumatic. And I remember when she talks about it, she actually says it's actually very hard for me to remember because I literally forgot those like memories. I literally like, she was like, Ty, I buried it so deeply. I really can't even remember to even explain it to you.
Yeah.
Like, so literally, even when you talk about losing ranges of yourself, I see people, that's just one version of it, right? You might actually completely lose the memory altogether of what happened. You callous certain emotions. So you literally might not even feel certain things in certain ways, which allows you to operate in this desensitized way. So there's like so many effects when you talk about losing those range emotions, and people don't realize, again, because of the trauma, your body has adapted in this way to allow you to operate. And you have it's like you have blind spots that you don't even know are there.
Well, the reality is we all have blind spots, right? But you are right in the right ballpark. And so often when I'm working with clients, that is one of the most surefire ways to know that there is some trauma that they have experienced at some point in their lives. When they start talking about, I don't remember most of my life before the age of 8 years old, I know that there's something there. Or when they say, I can look at pictures of me sometimes and I know that's me because I know, that's clearly me, but I don't remember that house. I don't remember that bike. I don't remember anything about that time in my life. It tells me that there are things that have happened that the brain has literally taken from them in order for them to be able to survive. Because the reality is that we are hardwired to survive, and our brain will do some incredible things, some serious leaps and bounds in order to keep us safe and in order to keep us literally on our feet, even if that means emotionally disconnecting ourselves. And so oftentimes when I know that somebody is at the breaking point is when they can't feel anything. When they tell me, Spirit, I'm just numb, and I have been for a long time. But the problem with that also, you heard me talk about this connection between mental and physical health. It's not just all in your mind. It's actually in your body. And so what will happen is you will start to have physical symptoms that you don't recognize are literally functions of mental health conditions. So when you're dealing with things like insomnia, memory loss, whether it's short-term memory. If I say, remember this phone number, 213-623-2306, and then I hit you in 10 minutes and I'm like, what was that phone number again? And you're like, man, it was like a 2 and a 6 and your short-term memory is not there. Your long-term memory is not there. The headaches, the backaches, the infertility, all of these different things that are happening, the high blood pressure, the diabetes, people don't recognize this to oftentimes be symptoms of the stress that your body is under, trying to keep your memories and the amount of stress that you're dealing with, trying to keep that from you intellectually and emotionally. It is all interconnected. You are one whole being. And so for your mother, for example, the trauma that she experienced, that is how her body decided that would be what keeps her on her feet. We're just going to take those memories from you because to have access to that would debilitate you so badly that you might check out in one way, shape, or form. And then I also want you to realize, though, your mother is not the only person that experienced that trauma, because everyone that's been connected to her has also experienced the consequences of that trauma, including you. Right? Because it affects how she shows up. It affects her ability to connect. It affects how she thinks in the world, how she sees the world. So for better or worse, it has affected her parenting. It has affected her ability to love, her ability to trust, her ability to forgive, and everything in between. So we're not going to ride your mom tonight because she's not here. We're just going to love up on her and give her the praise.
I love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom.
If you're in this chat, put Ma in the chat so I know it's you.
She got one of these
but
troll
it's real
accounts.
talk, right? We are all surviving trauma. We are all surviving intergenerational trauma, the trauma of our ancestors, the trauma of our elders, the trauma that we have endured. And we are passing that on to everybody around us that we're trying to be in relationship with.
Oh my goodness. First of all, y'all don't understand. I can take this conversation so many different ways. Let's right go. Now.
Where you want to go?
I'm going to keep it on track to where we're going, because what I want to let people know is at this point, is so much trauma is a part of the experience of life.
Yes.
So to some degrees, forgiveness is naturally going to be a part of it as well. And you broke down something I think was beautiful and we should not miss. You said forgiveness is the last step.
Yes.
That was big.
Yes.
Because most people talk about forgiveness being the first. So what are the steps to forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like on the way to forgiveness, what does that look like?
Well, I think that that's a good question. I think oftentimes before you can even get to forgiveness, and let's understand that forgiveness is a decision also. I tell people that in order to forgive, just like in order to trust, you have to decide whether or not you want to do that. And so when I'm working with individuals or with couples or with families, whatever is the dynamic, I say, well, how about we reserve that choice and that right and that decision for the appropriate place when we get there. But the very first thing that I like to help people do is to understand how you got to that point. Okay, so let's talk about like one of the most common places that people want to deal with forgiveness, right? In relationships is infidelity, right? It's like, I cheated or you cheated. Should we forgive? Should we keep going? Should we? But when they come to therapy, do you know what do you think is the most common question that people want to know from their partner when they come to therapy?
Which part? The partner that cheated or the one that didn't cheat?
The person that didn't cheat, right?
Okay.
And by the way, I always say that both people are responsible for infidelity. It's never just one person.
Wait,
don't piss them off like that now.
Hold on.
Don't piss them off like that.
We gotta go back to that one though.
We'll come back. We'll come back to
it takes both people to get there. Everybody has a role. Now,
first of all, I got a situation on infidelity. We will come back.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll go there. Okay.
Yes.
So, but for the person who was quote unquote wronged in this situation, you cheated on me, so you stepped out. What do you think is the number one question that I want the answer to if we come to therapy? If you cheated on me,
why'd you cheat?
Why did you do it? Right? And they're waiting for the answer. And I will step in just before the person gets ready to speak, and they open their mouth and they go, and I go, hold on, before you do that. Okay. And the reason for that is because you are setting your partner up to lie to you. The reason that you're setting your partner up to lie to you is because oftentimes they have no clue about why they did what they did. And so what they do is they start to tell you what they think is the reason. Well, because you weren't there for me, or because we've been fighting, or because I was feeling lonely. But what they don't understand is that is the tip of the iceberg. What is at the bottom, what is at the root of all of that stems from unmet needs that often go back way before you even come into relationship with each other. So what I invite couples into, again, whether it's intimate partner or any other kind of relationship, what I invite them into is a place of exploration and investigation to understand who you are at your core, to understand what are your driving motivations, to understand those traumas and how those have shaped you, to understand your needs, unspoken and spoken, met and unmet, to really introduce you to yourself. So then you can introduce yourself to the person you're trying to be in relationship with. So then you can have some real conversations from an educated, knowing place about your why. So it's kind of like, can we reserve the answer to that question so you can get the real answer? Because it's not just the, you didn't spend time with me. It's often, I have felt rejected over and over, not just in this relationship, but what the relationship is doing is triggering and touching old wounds. And I don't have the proper coping strategies. So what I decided to do was step out of this relationship to get needs met that I did not even know oftentimes were there and needed to be fulfilled to the level that they have to be fulfilled at.
Ain't nobody explaining why they cheated like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
And it's the exact same man or woman.
Listen, man or woman. And when you start to understand who you are in a different way, and you are willing to do that work in front of your partner in a different way, you start to hear things about each other. Things start to click for each other. You start to see, this is how we line up. So that's why that looks like that. So that's why that sounds like that. So that's why you respond to that. That's why you won't touch that. And all of a sudden we're healing in front of each other, and we start to have empathy for each other. We also start to have a clarity in our understanding of each other, and if we're really compatible. So when we get to the space of making the decision about, one, whether I'm going to forgive you or not, then we can do that from that healthy, healed, knowledgeable, knowing place that brings us peace with the decision that we make. But also the second part of that is, not only just do I want to forgive you, but do I want to continue in relationship with you?
That's what I was
or
gonna
is
ask
this
you
where
about.
I love you and go our separate ways?
Okay, so you can forgive, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to continue the
Oh,
relationship.
1,000%. I can forgive you and never give you access to me again.
Wow.
And sometimes that is the healthier option, because not everybody is committed to change. Not everybody is committed or motivated or has the ability to meet the needs necessary in order to make sure that you forgiving them warrants staying in your life.
That makes sense. So once you go back and you evaluate kind of how it started.
Yes.
And the issues, the true foundational
What's
issues
really
that need to be addressed.
there, why
Okay.
you really wounded me in the way that you did, what was really at the root of that. And if you are aware of what's at the root of that, are you really willing to do the work necessary to heal that so you will never wound me in that way again? And that is difficult, because most of us are not trying to change, and most of us are not trying to heal. And even worse, most of us are not really trying to meet ourselves, because we already think we have us figured out.
That's a fact.
Real talk. We
Right.
already think we know us.
Let me backtrack, because I want to get some methodical steps for the people. Before we forgive, it sounds like the first step is we have to identify the root of what caused the pain. Is that it?
It is more so, what am I trying to forgive?
What am I trying to forgive?
Yeah, what needs forgiveness?
Because for example, it's not as simple as he cheated on me, I need to forgive him for cheating. Is it not
No.
that simple?
No.
So what could possibly be all the things you might need to forgive for infidelity?
I think it's information. It's being able to take an educated understanding and decide what you want to do with what you're concluding. And so I know that sounds really complicated, but it's like, why should I just jump to forgiving you if you don't even know what you've done to me? You can't even articulate how you've hurt me. You won't even take accountability for hurting me. You're not even connected to the fact that you hurt me. And even worse, because you don't have any of that information to even build upon, how do I know you are not going to hurt me again? So me just saying, okay, you know what? I forgive you. That's fine. Let's move on. Let's not talk about it. And oftentimes what people are looking for is the forgiveness card to be the shut everything down card. You said you forgave me, so why are you still bringing it up?
Yeah,
Man, why are you still
action.
talking about this? I thought you forgave me. Like, that's supposed to let you off the hook. But really, the saying that I forgive you is, I'm willing to continue to allow you to be in relationship with me. But oftentimes folks, again, will say that they are forgiving, but they are really sitting in that situation saying, now you're going to pay. Now you're going to owe me. Now you're going to show up for me like I want you to. Now you're going to be punished. Now I'm going to withdraw from you. Now I'm going to hit you with the get back. Now I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to reclaim my power. And so we think that we're doing things that look and sound like forgiveness when they are actually something completely different for our own met and unmet need.
You know, that explanation allows me to make sense of what you almost gave the formula for a good, strong apology. Because what makes an apology strong is the information that other person have about you and their genuine intention behind what they want to do future tense by you.
Yes.
So if they understand what hurt you, how it hurt you, how it affected you, and are committed to not doing that again, that makes a really good apology.
Yes. But I will say the thing that actually brings peace, because there's difference, right? We think that we're doing forgiveness in order to achieve peace. I will say the one thing that gets left out of most apologies that would bring peace and healing is the person who has wounded the other person needs to be able to articulate a plan, an understanding for how they will take responsibility to ensure that wounding never, ever happens again. Because see, most people are afraid to forgive because what they believe is the minute I say that I've forgiven you, you're going to do it again. The minute I say I forgive you, that's when you think it's over. So now you're out the doghouse.
You're gonna do whatever.
Now you can just let your guard down. So not only will I not forgive you, but I will keep bringing it up in order to make sure that you don't forget, but also in order to make sure that you know that I haven't forgotten. I still got a feeling about it. And so oftentimes what I like to do is I like to help people get to, again, the root, because we can talk about the leaves on the trees all day. And so oftentimes when we are trying to communicate to people, we're doing one of three things. Okay. We are either sitting in a situation where we're trying to achieve something for ourselves. Usually it's some form of protection or getting a need met. We are trying to foster a relationship and further that relationship with somebody, or we are trying to communicate a thing to someone else. And so when somebody is talking about how you've wounded them over and over, if you can get to the root of why are you bringing it up? Not what are you bringing it up? Not trying to shut down that, but what is it that you really want me to know and understand in this moment? And oftentimes the person is saying, I'm scared that you're going to do it again. I'm afraid that you don't understand what you did to me. I'm mad that you think that I shouldn't be hurt anymore. So we're doing all of these things trying to actually get something from someone instead of getting to the root of it to be able to say, this is what I need from you in order to be okay.
What you're saying is very clear, but I think everything else is what comes out when people are in that forgiveness process. I'm just very curious, just from, you counsel a lot of couples.
Yes.
Do you think that once somebody cheats, is it really worth going through that entire process? Not necessarily forgiveness, but to continue a relationship with them when these feelings might come up again down the line?
I think it depends on whether or not the couple is willing to do the work. And I often tell people, believe it or not, breaking up is not the thing, because everywhere you go, there you are. So you will leave the person who cheated on you and still then wind up in the same kind of relationship again, especially if you haven't done the healing work to understand why you chose that, why you were attracted to it, why you stayed in it, how you showed up when all of the things that were happening led to the cheating and even the aftermath.
Yeah.
So everywhere you go, there you are. That's why people think that they have a type. And they do. They have the same type of person. You're dating the same person over and over and over. They got a different name and a different face, but they are in essence the same person over and over. So until you do the work to heal yourself, you are still drawn to the same person over and over. You have to evolve as a person and heal to a particular place so that you will attract and choose and nurture a different kind of relationship. It's just a requirement. And so what'll happen is we will stay in relationships with people because we've invested so much.
Right.
We've put in all the time. We don't want to be divorced. We don't want to be a baby mama. We don't want to be a baby daddy. It's cheaper to keep her, all these other things, but never do the real work to have the relationship that we fantasize about. And oftentimes we are in two very different relationships. We got the fantasy relationship that we're constantly trying to build and push our partner to. And then we got the relationship that is the reality of our relationship,
Real
right?
relationship.
Yeah. But subconsciously, we're constantly trying to nudge our partner and the relationship into this fantasy world instead of being able to communicate what your fantasy is to your person. Let them communicate what their fantasy is, and that you intentionally build a relationship that allows both of you to live out the fantasy that you dream of. We just don't know how to do relationship because nobody ever taught us. And so we have all this hurt, and you hear about hurt people hurting people. So we go into relationships bleeding on each other, trying to have the kind of relationships that we want, reenacting all of that traumatic experience that we've already had with our partner over and over and over.
So let me ask you this. So even with forgiveness,
we over 30 minutes in.
You gonna let the Facebook?
Let me
I'm
just
sorry.
let the Facebook
I'm
grow.
sorry.
Let me let the Facebook
Cool.
group go real quick, because I want y'all to come over to YouTube to join the rest of this conversation, because this conversation is just getting warmed up, y'all. We go in there tonight. So come on over. And you're gonna find out my mom is up in the chat. I got so happy to see you up in the chat, then mad to see that you're not a member of the actual.
He said, pull your card out,
So
mama.
Ma, please, can you please become an initiate tonight, Ma? Please, like, I need us to come on. We family, Ma.
Facts.
You already an
Facts.
initiate. Please join. But go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead, get it.
So I was going to ask you. So even with forgiveness on being on the table, right? Even though it's on the table, after they get through that process, do you find that most couples shouldn't have even been together in the first place?
No, I think that any two people that want to be together can be. The question
Okay.
is, how hard are you willing to work? And I think that some couples are naturally more compatible with each other than others. So I have some couples who are extremely uncompatible with each other. Seriously. I mean, let's be real.
Okay.
You got together, nothing is working out. You recognize that you got together for all the wrong reasons, but you love each other to death and you don't want to see the relationship go. So I have people who will be like, Doc, whatever it takes to keep her, I don't care. I'm willing to do whatever. And so sometimes we literally have to develop plans on how do you then nurture this relationship in a way that's going to satisfy you both. So if she wants to go out on dates once a week, but you're a person who don't like to go out at all, you might have to do the work of putting that notification in your phone to remind you that once a week on this day, by this time, you got to have that restaurant set up. You got to have the babysitter set up. You may have to call her 5 times a day and put the notifications in your phone to text her and say, hey, how you doing? Hey, just thinking of you. If those are the things that she needs to be happy. Or if he's a person who says, listen, I love to do skydiving. I love to do sports. I love to do all of these things. And she's like, I don't want to get my nails dirty, Doc. But he wants to do this with me. Okay, I'm ready to keep that relationship. So it means enough to me to meet their needs.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what your partner's needs are, and worse, if you don't know what your own are, and you can't articulate that in an effective way to your partner, you cannot intentionally build the relationship that is going to satisfy you both. And so it's really about how badly do two people want to be in relationship together? And are they committed and devoted to doing what it takes to make sure that the other person is living the kind of relationship experience that they want? Because if not, that person is going to find other ways to get those needs met.
Okay, I can't imagine being in a relationship with somebody I'm not compatible with.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. So what is compatibility? Like what's true compatibility?
Yeah. Compatibility is about how two people fit together.
Okay.
Whether an intimate partner relationship, whether in a relationship like how you guys are, it's how we come together. And do we fit in such a way that both of us can be satisfied and have our needs met in a relationship? Or do we fit together in such a way that my needs go unmet at the expense of yours being met? So are we constantly bouncing off of each other where neither of us can ever be truly satisfied? Because to be in relationship with each other is simply it's untenable for us. This just doesn't work. Everything about you does not work for how I want to live my life. When I think about what I want my forever to be, you are in a completely different ballpark and direction. And sometimes we choose people in situations for the wrong reason. And so then we get in the relationship and it is miserable, either for them or for the other person or for both of those people. So compatibility is really, do we fit together in such a way that the way that I want to experience life, I can do that with you?
So we just really walked right into it. So I'm not even going to wait till later because I think it's just so relevant to now that I want you to kind of walk me through this one.
Okay.
Since we already so heavily jumped into cheating, we had an initiate reach out to us and she explained that she has a relationship and her husband actually cheated on her and got a woman pregnant outside of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think what she communicated was she knew that something could have been happening, but obviously it wasn't kind of big enough to move her in a way to really do something about it because she was relatively.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Okay. Now that's fair. But what she communicated is now that a child occurred outside of the marriage, she's very confused at how to go about handling this. So she wanted to know how she should consider forgiveness as it relates to infidelity that led to a child.
Wow.
So where does she start specifically in that situation?
Well, when you say should she consider forgiveness, do you mean should she forgive him for disrupting her life and disrupting their family and all of those things? Or do you mean, should she forgive him in the context of she's trying to figure out, should she stay in the situation? Because that's how people usually use forgiveness.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a yes. Let's answer that second one, because I think that's where she is.
Okay.
I think she looks at that as such a violation to the marriage and such a high level of disrespect. She's trying to figure out if she needs to forgive and stay or go.
Well, and honestly, I think it's so much more complicated than that, because you have to look at the reality of, and so I'm not going to call that forgiveness. I'm going to say, does she feel like she could move beyond this transgression in a way that will allow her to stay in this dynamic and thrive?
Why is that not forgiveness? Is that not forgiveness?
No, because I can stay with you and never, ever forgive your ass for stepping out and making a baby.
Oh,
I
I'm
can
sure.
hate you forever.
Mhm.
I can look at that child, and every time I see that child, I can hate that child as well. I can sabotage your relationship with that child. I can hate the woman who stepped into this space and created this child with you. I can
Wow.
sit in this relationship and torture myself for all the things that I heard the whispers and thought, maybe I should say, well, no, I don't really want to. And so we get into this season where that becomes the cancer. And, you know, cancer just metastasizes. It just continues to grow. And so if she's not really clear about the choice that she makes, and she doesn't make that from a place that says, I'm doing this in a way that is going to allow first me to thrive, then everybody else that is a part of this situation, then all she's doing is setting herself up and everybody else for failure. And when we have children in this place and space who didn't ask to be a part of this situation, who need love and who will have bonds with each of them, she first has to decide for herself, does she have the capacity? Does she even have the awareness about what she's signing up for? Because now she's talking about having to be a stepmother to a child that she did not desire, did not know existed, and has been consummated and come to being within the context of her marriage. So does she understand the dynamic of what she would be signing up for?
Yeah.
Is she willing to do that from a place of love, from a place of caring, from a place of regard? And is she willing to have to deal with being re-injured over and over and over as she moves forward, if she stays in the relationship, to have to explain this, to deal with the shame, to deal with the embarrassment, to deal with the guilt, to deal with the anger, to deal with the rage, to deal with the fear, to deal with the family now being fractured and reborn in ways that she never thought she was signing up for? And a lot of times this is hard because this is years of therapy. This is she willing to be in relationship with a woman who was her husband's mistress? Because that is now the biological mother of that child. Is she going to be able to foster a relationship between her and him to do co-parenting so that they can effectively co-parent this child? Is she willing to be the third parent or the fourth, depending on if that other woman ever gets remarried? Is she willing to sit in this dynamic? And not just willing to sit, because see, willing to sit is like, is she willing to sit and survive this? Can she find a way to thrive in this dynamic where all this becomes okay at some point down the road? And can she forgive herself? Because I'm telling you that what she is going through internally for not speaking, for not acknowledging, for not standing in the gap, for not confronting, not just him, but the situation, she has to start with forgiving herself first. I mean, there are layers. This is so loaded. So it's not enough to just say, can I forgive you? Because yes, I can. Can I forgive you and walk away? Yes, I can. Can I forgive you and stay in? Yes, I can. But what ultimately does my heart want to do? And honestly, that's not even a situation that she can answer that clearly right now. And I have worked with a lot of families, a lot of women who have sat in that, and they wind up divorced 10 years later, 17 years later, 25 years
that
later.
Initial issue.
Yes.
Wow.
Because they tried, quote unquote, to make it work. They did everything they know how to do. They swallowed it. They tried to forgive. They were hurt all over again. And because relationships evolve and people are constantly developing, there are new issues and challenges at different points as that child ages, as that child comes into school, as that child has friends and sleepovers and birthday parties, and you figuring out where do you fit in, and your husband wants to go and celebrate and be there for his child, and the other woman is going to be there, and the other family is going to be there, and your family is going to be here. Like, this is very nuanced. And so what I would say to her is, if she's not having great therapy, My audience knows I got to hit them with the double claps, right? If she does not have a great therapist to first just process all the feelings that she's feeling.
Yeah.
The confusion that this is surreal. This is a nightmare that I cannot wake up from. The anger, the maybe the homicidality, right? I just want to kill him on some days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, I want to lay waste to the whole thing. If she doesn't have somebody to walk her through all of those feelings and to help her feel like and recognize those are natural and normal feelings, and to make sure that she doesn't disconnect from her body and just go numb just to even stay in the situation. And we haven't even talked about whether or not they had children of their own, because then that ups the ante, right? Leaving if I'm single versus leaving if we already have a family in progress. That's a whole nother set of issues. So I think it's too premature for her to decide whether or not she wants to forgive him. I think the real question is, what does she feel like she wants to do at this moment? Is she open to the possibility of seeing how they could stay in relationship with each other, recognizing that that is going to take a lot of time and support? Or does she decide, I just can't. I know me well enough to know I'm never going to be a good mother to this child. I'm never going to be okay with this other woman. I'm never going to be able to be comfortable sitting in this situation with my husband while he has to have now this outside family. I'm not signing up for this. Then how does she still get into some great therapy to do the work to heal all of the trauma that has happened so that she doesn't carry that into the next relationship if she leaves this one?
Oh, that's so much.
That's a lot to deal with.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Think about because if they're doing it to co-parenting right, she's going to have a relationship with the other woman.
Absolutely.
And then the kid is a daily reminder. I mean, the kid is growing up, going to look less and less like her.
It is painful. Or when you have children and you have to explain to your children who this new sibling is. Right? This is your father's child. Well, this is our child. Well, when the child is going to church with you or in community with you and they go, I didn't know that you and Gerald had a new, right? And you have to explain that to people. And a lot of people don't have the fortitude in order to get past that and to be able to say, yes, my husband made a bad choice. We all know what that looks like. And this is our family and we can find our way to healing. We are stronger on the other side of this and we can all thrive. Most people don't have that ability. And it really haunts them for decades when they try to sit in it. It really does.
So I see how somebody could get past infidelity. I mean, of course, the ante is increased tenfold if you're having a baby on the side too, right? But something like domestic abuse, physical, heavy emotional abuse, is that even worth a woman or even a man seeking, or I guess pursuing forgiveness to continue a relationship? Or is that something that, hey, regardless if you forgive them or not, you probably shouldn't continue that type of relationship?
Well, I think I am probably in the unpopular opinion in this.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that most people will say that that's a deal breaker. And as soon as you put your hands on somebody, that's it. I know a lot of colleagues who won't even work with couples who are involved in a domestic violence situation.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just see that differently because I think if you are the healer and the helper and somebody is coming to you for healing and help, and you are oftentimes the last ditch effort, if you turn them away, how are they supposed to get better? How are they supposed to fix it? You are the expert there to help them fix it in a very non-judgmental way. And so in order to be able to understand violence, and here's the other part of that, is that people often, when they think about domestic violence, they think about people putting their hands on each other.
Right.
But there are many forms of domestic violence, right? Emotional violence is very real. Technological violence is very real.
Wait, what's technological?
Technological violence is using technology in order to abuse somebody. So it's the way that you communicate with people on social media. It's the way that you text them those crazy messages. It's taking their phones. It's accessing their passwords and certain things as means to be able to control or isolate. It's being able to utilize things in order to draw them out and keep them under your thumb, right? Social Social isolation is a form of domestic violence, taking you away from all your friends and all your family. So you just have to be dependent upon me. Financial violence, making sure I control every dollar so you don't have access to have a life of your own. I know everything that you do, I dole out to you. You are completely under my control. And so oftentimes it's very easy to see the physical bruises that happen, but we don't talk about that within the context of violence across a relationship that is not always just physical. We often don't talk about also that role reversal in heterosexual relationships, where it is the woman who is physically violating the man. And oftentimes we don't talk about that because if he's a man, he's somehow supposed to be able to take that. She can't really hurt me. Meanwhile, she's picking up an iron and throwing it across the damn room at you, or picking up a vase and breaking it at your feet. And you're just supposed to be able to deal with it because she's angry, and that's supposed to somehow be okay.
Wow, I never thought of that as domestic violence, like a woman taking something and throwing it.
Oh, are you kidding?
Have you thought about that as domestic?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
But
we miss it, especially, when we get into these roles about what men are supposed to be able to endure and what women are supposed to be able to endure. Her punching you or slapping the mess out of you at her will. You're supposed to just be able to be like, all right, now, come on. Now you just,
right.
I'm gonna just grab your wrist, and you just, you got a little bit beside yourself. Or her talking to you like you're crazy. Right.
Now we hear that. We hear that a lot.
You down with her words, cutting you so deep, just slicing you from ear to ear with her tongue, and not recognizing that that's a form of abuse. Right. There are so many different ways that we don't understand how we wound each other in relationships. And so when I have couples who are doing that, I look at that as this is the behavior that you are using due to some thoughts and feelings that you are experiencing. Let's talk about how that's evolving. Let's talk about why you choose that as the option to deal with what you are internally experiencing, and where did you learn that as the coping strategy? Oftentimes, unfortunately, we live in a society where we talk about anger management. I personally, as a clinician, don't believe in anger management. I believe in getting to the root of what something is and healing it. Because of course I can teach you, just catch your breath, just count to 10. Every time you're upset, just walk down the block. If she says something and you get triggered, just close your mouth, clench your fists, and just walk away. But how is that really helping you? All that is doing is saving one situation of violence, but you are still then having to deal with all of those things internally in yourself, and you are still having an interaction with that partner. So how about you get to the root of all of that? Instead of trying to manage what you're experiencing, how about we go in there and disengage that and heal that? So all of a sudden those buttons are not there. How about we give you new neural pathways, new ways of coping, new ways of understanding dynamics, and give you new ways to be able to show up to take care of yourself, so that you don't have to act out, so that you don't lose control, you don't black out, you don't feel the need to control or grab onto somebody or punch a wall or go drive fast or go drink something or go gamble it away, or all the other things that we do in order to try to cope. So when we talk about domestic violence, I like to look at it as the symptom. Now we have to get to the cure. But if we're talking about the symptom, where is the wound that symptom has originated from? Where does it occur? And that's where we need to get to the root of. And that's what's playing out in relationships all day, every day. And all we're trying to do is forgive as a behavior, never getting to the feelings or the thoughts that cause us to need the forgiveness in the first place.
I'm gonna ask you this, because in your experience working with both men and women, do you find it that men have a harder time forgiving than women?
That's a great question. See, and the reason why I say it's a great question is because I'm trying to think about it like how the average person thinks about it, like how we're talking about it tonight. I think in some ways men are quicker to forgive, but I think it's because they're more disconnected from their feelings.
But is that true forgiveness?
Not necessarily. And that's why I say it's a really great question, right? Because to just not care about something
Yes.
does not mean that I've forgiven you.
Absolutely.
Right. But men mistake that. I don't care. I mean, I moved on
Absolutely.
from that. Right. And because they have such a limited range, like we talked about when we first sat down, they have a limited range of emotion. The only things that they can actually feel are the things that really deeply piss them off or really deeply hurt them. That's why men will feel like things around disloyalty, you know, if she cheats, it's unforgivable, right? But if the boy, it just, you know, stepped out and did something wrong, you my boy, I got you, dog. Yo, we good. We exchange some words and we keep it moving, right? So you have to be hurt at such an intense level to feel anything oftentimes as a man, because you're so disconnected from emotion, that it's not actually true forgiveness. It's just I'm hardwired not to be fazed. And that goes back to just survival. I mean, that's enslavement for us as Black folks here. We literally had to be disconnected from our bodies because we could not experience fully the feelings associated with the traumas that we've experienced.
Wow.
But that is, you know, that's folks who have had to immigrate from places, folks who have had to deal with war, folks who have had to deal with family violence for long periods of time. Like anytime you become disconnected from yourself, it's very easy to say, I forgive you, because the real reality is I'm not connected to you and I'm not connected to that. So I just don't pay it any mind. I'm basically unaffected, at least at the surface, but that's not what's happening at the core.
So men are pretty much just better at desensitizing, turning their emotions off.
Well, you guys have been conditioned to do it. So you're not better at it. You just had more time. Men have been conditioned in our society to be disconnected from feelings. You all have not been given permission to actually feel anything. That's why a lot of men have no value for feelings. That's why they say, man, you better get out your feelings. And I tell people all the time, you better live in your feelings, because your feelings are literally the things that tell you what you need in order to be okay in this world. And if you're not connected to the feeling, if you can't identify the feeling, then you can't take care of yourself. If you don't know that you're scared, you don't know what you need in order to solve or relieve the fear. If you don't know that you're confused, you don't know that you need information in order to get clarity. If you don't know that you're hungry, you can't connect to that you need calories in order to satisfy the hunger. And so men have been conditioned not to feel anything. So you guys think that you're just logical, but the logic comes after the feeling, because the logic is supposed to be the strategy that you use to relieve or solve the feeling. So you guys just often, that's why they be like, oh, men are, y'all so simple. Y'all just do this, this, and this, and y'all be good. But it's literally because you have learned to just be here for service. Just be here to take care of us, protect and provide. That's all you got to do. You don't have no other job. Take care of us, make a way for us. Make sure we don't get killed out here. We don't care about your feelings. Damn. And that is why you guys are dying on the vine.
Wow.
Damn. You have literally been taught boys cry in the dark, right? Because big boys don't cry, man up, and all those other things, which tells you figure out how to disconnect from your feelings. But to be disconnected from your feelings is to be disconnected from yourself.
And I'm curious. I know we just talked about forgiveness and infidelity, and then, you know, forgiveness, domestic abuse, but men specifically, who are they looking, the most men, who are they looking to forgive? What type of situation are they looking to forgive?
They're not looking to forgive oftentimes anything. Men are really just trying to survive. With all the weight and the pressure and the responsibilities that you guys have on you, you just like, yo, could I just have some peace? I'm just trying to get to the peace. I'm just trying to get to the place where she ain't screaming at me, where my mom ain't screaming at me, where I can feed my kids, where I can provide. I don't have time to be caught up in feelings. Yo, to carry any of that is just going to be more burden, and I cannot deal with it. But really and truly, because you guys are not connected to your feelings, you're not connected to the hurt, you're not connected to the trauma, that is why you guys die like you do. That's why you guys have heart attacks. That's why you stroke out. That's why your blood pressure is through the roof. That is why you have migraines. That is why you have so much pent up aggression and frustration, because you are like a pressure cooker constantly. It's just blah, 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 blah. And at least with women, we have the ability, we are literally taught, talk about how you feel. Y'all get together and commune, do the girlfriend thing, go to the bathroom together, like sit up and talk about your feelings, cry together, commiserate together, celebrate together, support each other. As men, y'all can't even have real conversations. It's like, yo, yeah, you see that sport game? Yeah. Yo, you see that new car that's coming out? Yo, them J's, And that is how you guys bond, is over things, but cannot talk about, I'm really hurt, or I'm really scared, or rejection is a problem for me, or insecurity is a problem for me, or yo, I had this learning disability when I was growing up, and maybe I got ADHD, but I'm not really sure. You have all of these things that as men, you're not even given permission to touch.
Yeah, all of that is weakness.
See that?
Amongst men,
amongst the average man.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's all like.
Yes.
You actually would kind of almost even throw off the vibe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's taboo. You'll be the buzzkill. You'll be the buzzkill, which to me, as a clinician, and even as just a human being who's done a lot of the work, to me, that is the ultimate weakness, because what it says is I'm so fragile, I don't have the ability to touch the hard stuff. Men will talk about it like it's weak to be in those spaces, but actually it requires so much strength to not just go there, but to sit in it and to carry the weight of that and to unpack it. That is the hardest thing that you will ever do. So when a man is like, yo, that's that weak stuff, that's that, well, I can't say it. I don't know if y'all cussing stuff. But,
you can say whatever you want.
But when they say, they refer to it as like, I love to say, because men will say, they'll call it the P word, right? It's that word, right? And I'll have to be like, yeah, but that's actually one of the strongest muscles that exists, right? So like we literally push babies out of that joker, and we carry like 7-8 pound bowling balls for like 10 months. Like, let's really understand the strength that's involved in that. Come on, you better, because you always trying to get up in it ever since you came out of it. Okay, but that's a whole nother conversation. But in all seriousness, right, the things that men often see as weak, it's really, I'm touching a pain point and you don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So instead, we will just keep the top on that and say, don't touch it. And we will joke about it. We will really use that as a defense mechanism to keep you out of our soft places.
Yeah.
That's how y'all operate. So we just stay on the surface. As long as we're staying on the surface, I'm not going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As long as we stay up here, but you start touching this. I have worked with a lot of men at every level, the most hyper masculine, you want to call it alpha male, whatever you want to call it. We are all human beings at the very bottom of who we are. And I start talking to one man about any part of his life where we get into real trauma, real connection, real intimacy. And you will watch that man, I don't care how old he is, become the little boy version of himself. And he should have every right to be able to do that, because you guys are beautifully designed perfectly with all of your feelings intact. And you come into a world that robs you of that and then expects you to show up every day to give everything you got for the benefit of everybody else.
Damn.
That's true.
Damn.
And touching that emotion is like, I don't even watch movies that I know will invoke emotion.
So look, speaking on that, first of all, that metaphor of the pressure cooker was crazy.
Yes.
I was watching this movie. It was on Netflix. It was like, in the movie, this woman, like her mom got kidnapped and she pretty much thought her mom was dead. So she started going through what she thought dead mom's text messages. And oddly enough, I recently lost my step-pops like 2 years ago. So I pulled open. It just made me want to think. I was like, wow, do I have his text messages? I just randomly went, I typed his name in, I went and I had a whole text message thread of him. And I read the last few messages in that text thread.
Oh, wow.
Let me tell you, I absolutely lost it. Now, keep in mind, I don't cry that was that was the most recent time I cried, was a few months ago. But before that, it's been years. It's been years before I really cried. And when I tell you, it was
how unhealthy that is.
Oh no,
that's
I know. It's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's very. But let me tell you, this was such a deep cry. This was a deep cry.
The cleansing cry.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, most of the cry is silent. Like it's just a hard. Let me tell you, it was such a hard cry. I had to, I'm mid crying, closing the blinds in my house
because he don't want nobody to see.
I'm mid cry because my place you can see in big windows. I'm just closing them joints because it's so hard. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, this was after I was done. I'm like, damn, this was inside of me. So I can imagine that, you know, first of all, in my mind, I'm like, what the hell else is in there? It's like, what else is in there?
Right.
And not even just for me, just from other brothers, because don't get me wrong, I've been through a lot of shit.
Yes.
But it's a lot of dudes that have been through a lot more than me.
Everybody got a story.
So I can imagine what's that pressure cooker.
Yes.
What's just the pressure just boiling inside of a lot of men just walking around.
Absolutely. And literally crying is the button that releases some of the pressure. That literally takes toxins out of your body. It literally contracts your muscles and relaxes them. Crying is literally a physiological gift that we have been given in order to take care of ourselves. It's part of our hardwiring to be able to survive. And most of us have learned how to disconnect from it, or at least go numb. So even for you to say what's in there, the idea that you don't know says something in and of itself. I won't therapize you today, though. Okay?
Please do not make this man cry on camera.
No. I don't want to be that.
Brand image.
No, either they're gonna love me or they'll hate me after that. Either we'll send money. They'll subscribe for your therapy.
Now we got some super chats in. So I want to give a shout out to some members. Shout out to Ruby Designs who joined the membership. Shout out to Serve Ya who joined the membership. Shout out to Fancy who just gifted a membership. And Janelle, she says this is off topic, but her hair color is so beautiful.
I said the same thing, Janelle.
Yeah.
The same thing.
Shout out to Cornelius Knight and Nzinga Grant sending over the super chats. We got Yali too. Yali says this is good. This is good. Yali says she cannot wait to be an emotional safe space for her future husband.
Ooh,
shout out to you, Yali.
Shout out to Yali. And shout out to KN looking out for the fella. She says this is a good one. So, Spirit, the men want to know the signs that a woman has truly forgiven them. I think that's a good question. How do I know she's really forgiving me versus just putting up with me until she gets that get back? Because I don't know if y'all ever see these, those little like Reddit stories. You ever seen that online? Where like these random stories is read, and you got these husbands that are just the only place I guess they want to share is online, right? They don't got nobody else to share with. They don't got Dr. Spirit.
Men don't go to therapy, they get podcasts.
They do podcasts, right. First off, she just tried us. But no,
they caught it afterwards.
You're right.
Facts.
But these guys they basically say like, yo, my wife says she forgive me. We got into a relationship. I end up catching her cheating, and she'll look at me and be like, yep, that's what you get. So how do I know as a man that my woman is just not waiting to get back at me, and I know she's actually forgiving me, and I can stop being paranoid?
Yeah. Why would you be paranoid?
Because I think immediately that's what you think. If you cheated on somebody or you did something to somebody, that's what I think. I think now that I've gotten caught doing this act, they may want revenge.
Oh, see, now I'm going to therapize him for just a second.
Get his ass. Get him, Dr.
I just want to know, where did you learn that?
That's a good question. I don't know where I learned it from. You're right. I did learn that. I don't know where I got it from. It's just how I think.
Okay. Well, I want you to know we never just do a thing.
Okay.
There's always a reason for it, but I would be curious where you learned that. But we won't therapize you then. He said, get your ass.
Wait, do you not think that if you get caught doing something you shouldn't have been doing?
No.
Really?
No, I don't. I actually
yeah.
don't.
You had to have that experience at some point in your life, whether directly or indirectly.
Wow.
You learned that as a consequence. Something you experienced taught you that if I do something to someone, retribution or revenge is in order. So then you literally have an anxiety when you have wronged someone. And I wonder to what level. Is it little tiny things or is it only the big things? And oftentimes we don't know it's there.
And you know what's crazy? In my mind, I made this up. I thought everybody thinks that.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And actually very much so surprised me that Tyshawn does not think that. Because in my mind, I thought that's just what people.
And did you see his eyes? He's like, no.
I'm like, absolutely not.
I don't expect. Yeah, like the women I have, I like expect the women that I have to be disgusted with infidelity, or at least so into me that they can't let a man into them.
I get what you're saying.
No, he didn't. That's why he started chuckling.
No, I'm laughing because wow, that just blows my mind. So that is a complete different line of thinking. So you think pretty much you go out and cheat, and you're like, even though I got caught cheating, my girl loved me so much, no way she'll go back and cheat.
Yeah,
on me.
all I think about is, man, I'm about to have to deal with all this shit from the cheating. Like, she's gonna be like, no sex, you know, she's gonna be having attitudes. Like, I'm more worried about those consequences than her actually cheating back on me.
Spirit, you know what? I do need some help because you know what I think? In my mind, I think if I get caught cheating, I don't even want to be forgiven. I'm just done with the relationship. Because in my mind, it's only a matter of time before you find opportunity to do what I did. So even when I make big mistakes, I think, you know what? It's over.
So here's the beauty in that, though. So what you're experiencing is a form of anxiety that is actually working to protect you. And that's what healthy anxiety is supposed to look like. We got to answer his question, so I'm not going to get away from it. But I will say this real quick, is that when anxiety is healthy, it is there in order to make sure that we don't experience things that we don't want to experience, negative consequences. It's a form of protection. So like when your anxiety is like, did we leave the stove on? Did we lock the door at night? It gives us these things in order to keep us safe. So for you, your anxiety says, I don't even want to cheat because I don't even want to have to deal with the fallout of that. So I'm going to worry in advance enough to have that regulate my behavior. So my partner doesn't ever have to worry about cheating with me because it's a choice that I make because I don't want to deal with all of those future potential consequences.
Wow.
That's a healthy example of anxiety. Yeah, I get it.
Healthy anxiety.
Yes, anxiety, being anxious is a feeling. Like I wish I should have brought my feelings wheel in here tonight so you can see all the feelings. But anxiety or being anxious is a natural feeling. Yeah. It's there to protect us. It's there to make us think about how we do things so that we do them the best that we can.
I'm glad that you broke that down because I did not, I guess, identify that as anxiety. But now that I'm thinking about it, that's exactly what that is.
Anxiety is literally worry about the future. And it's usually worry about things or outcomes that we don't want to have happen. So the easiest way to resolve anxiety is to come up with a plan for what you would do in that worst case scenario. And then immediately your body goes, okay, we're good. Because now we know what we would. Okay, we know. We got a plan. We're good. So anxiety is literally there to help you go, what would you do? And how do you avoid that so that we can stay alive?
Check this out. Let's drop a poll real quick. And ask, how many ladies have cheated back once their partner cheated? I would love to know that.
I'm gonna drop that in the poll now.
Ladies, I'm not asking you, will you do it in the future? Because the will you in the future, you got this righteous vision of what you will do. I'm talking about in the past. What we've already done.
Listen, women are learning from y'all. They be like, hell yeah, if he does, it's open season.
No, that is what the
that's the conversation.
Seen that all in the comments.
Listen, because we are at a place where people have to recognize that fidelity or staying faithful is a choice. People don't stay faithful because they don't have options. They stay faithful for particular reasons and agreements with partners. And when the partner violates the agreement, then they often feel like they are not obligated to have to uphold their end of the agreement as well. Because it's like to stay with you means that I'm sacrificing other opportunities and options. So if you're going to be out here exercising all of your options and opportunities, including me, then I'm going to be out here doing the same. But I don't want to get away from your boy's question because I feel bad.
I'm dropping this poll because you got me.
You got me thinking.
But
you don't gotta. First of all, Dr. Speed, you're going crazy tonight. We got 932 people in the chat, guys, and we only have 320 likes. Let's just make a bold push to get to 450 likes. Guys, close your chat if you're on your phone. If you're on the TV, that thumbs up, please get this thing right now to 450 because we need to bring as many people. This is a healing conversation. Absolutely. Let's spread this to the world real quick. Please hit that like.
Yeah, shout out to Alexis who just joined the membership. And guys, I just dropped this poll. Ladies only. Have you ever cheated back? Yes, he deserved it. Yes, but I regretted it. No, I don't cheat. No, but I thought about it.
Those were good ones, right?
Yeah, you like that? You like that?
That was some context of that.
Yeah. And look, I want you to go ahead and answer that because so we got people sending in super chats, so we're gonna get to those Spirit, but answer that one.
Okay,
let's go back to it. The fellas want to know what are some signs for my woman that let me know she actually truly has forgiven me.
Okay, so here's the thing. It is not about signs. you have to go into what I call the best gift that a person can give you, which is their thoughts and feelings. And so you have to create an environment in your relationship where there is a culture of honesty and transparency. Your partner can tell you forever, yeah, I forgive you. Yep, no problem. We good. With her saying, and I literally have had couples do this. I literally know women who say, how long do I have to wait in order to divorce him before I can get X, Y, and Z? Oh, okay. Let me just hold that in my back pocket. I know people who have served their partners on the day that the benefits will apply legally.
Wow.
Right? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's way more common.
Savage world. Wow.
It's way more common. And we'll have friends that will support them. I had a woman once who was going to leave a partner, and her best friend called her and said, happy anniversary, friend. And she was like, it ain't my anniversary. My anniversary ain't still for like 6 months. And she was like, I know, you better remember that. Click, and kept it moving. Right. So I want you to understand that
Delano is laughing. He laughing.
The folks behind started laughing.
He's like, see, he's 19. He getting introduced to a lot of crazy shit that people do.
He gonna be ready.
Right.
Well, because listen, once we get to a point where we're no longer invested in our partner and we are really about self, all bets are off. So I'm looking for how to set myself up and take care of myself to the very best of my ability. And if I'm having to make that choice because you did something that wounded me, then you are going to pay. And oftentimes I'm going to feel justified, or I'm going to believe that that's going to make me feel better. So I'm going to go for blood. So to answer your question, the real thing is not how can I just kind of set my mind at ease that this is really where she is and what she wants. It is how do we now build the relationship that we need to build so that we have true intimacy, so that I can trust what it is that she's saying, so that she feels like she can honestly come to me and have these conversations with me. Because real talk, most people really want to have an incredible relationship. They just don't know how to get there. So if you came to me after you cheated and you said, listen, baby, I really want to be with you. I really want us to get this right. I really want us to do the work. And if I see you doing the work, if I see you expressing real accountability, if I see you really trying to tend to me and how you hurt me, if I see you really trying to come into intimate partner relationship with me, which is what I thought we had before you stepped out, that is going to be far more valuable to me than holding this get back card, because what I'm going to know about the quote unquote get back card is that that's only going to blow us up further. And so what I try to teach couples is that you cannot hurt your partner without hurting yourself and your relationship too. So you think you're getting some get back, which is why people are always confused when they get back and recognize it didn't get us back to anywhere. It actually made it worse, and it didn't get me back to myself. I actually feel even worse in doing it. And oftentimes the sex wasn't even that good. So you stepped out with somebody and you thought you was going to have something. And now you got another body on you. It wasn't that good. You got all the consequences of that. And now your relationship is no better for what it was that you did. So it's like, how do we step maturely into this situation so once and for all we can create the relationship that we thought that we had before we blew it up? How do we really work to put it back together? And that's not something you should have to guess about. If you have to guess in your relationship, you both are doing something wrong. Not just one of you, but you both are doing something wrong. If I don't really know where you are, if I don't really know what your intention is, if I can't really trust that what you're saying is the truth, we're not operating with each other where we should be.
That was thorough.
Good.
I
want it to be thorough.
Yeah. Let's close the poll before we go into the initiation hotline.
Oh, they vote fast. Damn. What did they say?
Yeah, we got it's a good amount of people.
This is good. So first off, we got close to 1,000 people in the room, 930 people in the room.
Hey y'all.
Ladies only. Have you ever cheated back? We got. Let's start from the bottom. Yes, but I regretted it. Says 15% of people. Okay. Yes, he deserved it. Says 19% of people. But the majority we got it coming up. No, but I thought about it, and no, I don't cheat. So it looks like most of the ladies are saying, at least 46% of them are saying they don't cheat. But we got some of those people in there they was out for revenge.
Yeah.
Ladies, listen, ladies who took the revenge route, let us know were you completely satisfied after that, or was there still some leftover issues after you actually move forward with cheating? Because you're saying
or it might be both, right? I'm satisfied. I feel vindicated because I got a secret. I'll show him. But that does not solve the problems in your relationship. You still got the same issues, whether you step out or not. The stepping out is not the issue, nor is the stepping out the solution. The problems are still the problem when you come back to the relationship. So you got to decide at what point are we ever going to do the work in solving the problems in our relationship. Otherwise, you're just going to keep getting back with each other. You going to know that she's stepping out. You going to know he's stepping out, but we not going to talk about it. We just you gonna get your get back, I'm gonna get mine, and then we just gonna walk around still being in relationship with each other.
So, ladies, what did we learn here? If you get cheated on, just suck it up.
You better stop. You better stop. That's what he's trying to teach you. You ain't gonna no. You ain't about to gaslight these ladies in this room. I refuse it.
I'm joking, ladies.
You ain't about to manipulate them.
Y'all know I'm joking.
Shout out to Alexis that's joined the membership.
All right, look, Lana, put the number up because it is time for the initiation hotline.
And I know when the hotline play.
So look, let's go ahead. Let's put our headphones on, y'all, because we're gonna take some calls in from the people.
See, Lana gotta hit the sound. Lana,
No,
come on, where you at?
Oh, wait, I want to hear
okay, you hit the sound. All right, my bad.
Yeah, you don't hear the sound.
Yo, we're gonna take the French lady. The French lady, shout out to you for sending over that super chat. We're gonna take that right after these calls.
All right, so let's go ahead, guys. Today, all right, I want you to call in today, and I want you to talk to us. All right. I want to hear a brother today, man. I want to hear a brother. I want you to ask a question, and please gear it around a very difficult, one of the, if not the absolute hardest situation in your life that you had to forgive. All right. Now listen, we need to be brief and brilliant on here because I know how y'all try to get get up
They're
on
gonna
here.
give their dissertations tonight.
Oh my goodness! A straight I have a dream speech up on this joint.
Okay, they got to give you the whole setup,
the whole thing.
Tell them to hit you with the.
Well,
We got them coming in, Lana.
We got them coming in. All right, somebody up on here now. Listen, welcome to Hardly Initiated. Go ahead, give me your age, your location, and your question.
Hi, yes, my age is 35. In North Carolina, and my question is, if you're in a relationship where there's multiple infidelity moments with your partner, and you are telling yourself that you're constantly forgiving it, is that like a sense of like a self-worth, or where you would need to forgive yourself for something in order to have a sense of self-worth to be able to leave that situation?
Well, let me
and
ask
then
you. Wait,
try to forgive.
well, let me ask you, because I don't want you to just kind of gloss over it. What is it about the situation that makes you forgive it every time it happens?
He had a child prior to our relationship, so did I. His child's mother was absent. My child's father was absent. We came in and we kind of built this family, filled that gap for each other. And then we had a child together. And so we have this family dynamic that works really well, but the relationship is
Wait. How does the family dynamic work really well when you have a partner who constantly steps out on you, and then you have to figure out how to survive him and the relationship, and the two of you are the first example that all three of these children have about what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like? How is this working really well?
I guess that's a question that I have to ask myself, because I guess for me, having a child that didn't have her father present, and he came in and filled the void that I needed. And so we have a lot of the same ideas when it comes to family, as far as like spending time with the kids and being intentional about certain things that we do with them. And when we're around them, we see that they're happy and everything. It's just the relationship part of it behind closed doors that they don't see is what is hurting.
Oh, no, I promise you that they see it, my beautiful lady. What they don't see is the context that makes it make sense. But one day when they are grown and they are able to connect the dots, they are going to go, oh, so that's what that was. And what I hear you having is what we call a trauma-based response. You had a trauma as a child, the absence of your father, that now has you being willing to subject yourself to traumatic, abusive treatment over and over and over again, because you now believe that it is better for your children to have the presence of a man, even if he treats their mother badly, than for them to have to endure his absence because of whatever you experienced by the absence of your father. And so what I want you to go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think it might be like flipped for me because I have a very present father. He was there 100% of the time. He was an amazing father. And so because of that, I feel like I want that so bad from my children.
So let me make sure I understand. So then on the flip, you're saying your father was present. And so you are afraid to separate from their father because you're afraid that him not being in the same home as them means that they will somehow not have the experience that you had.
I guess, yeah, I think so.
So where did you learn that the only way for your partner to stay in relationship with his children is if he gets to continue to be under a roof where he abuses and traumatizes you?
I think I was thinking that it makes it easier.
For who?
My kids, I guess.
Do you guys know the number one outcome or the number one indicator for how children grow up to thrive, whether or not they actually do?
I thought it was the daddy in the house.
Absolutely not.
What's
Believe
that?
it or not, it is the quality of their mother's happiness.
Wow.
Damn.
The quality of their mother's happiness is the number one indicator as to whether or not a child will grow up to thrive. Because if you have a depressed mother, if you have an anxious mother, if you have a mother with post-traumatic stress disorder who is having to disconnect from her own body, she cannot show up to nurture you. She cannot show up to support you. She cannot fully step into that space. And what she will teach you about being in relationships with other people, whether you can trust them, whether you can trust yourself, whether you can actually be committed and connected to somebody and know that they will reciprocate that to you in a healthy way. She teaches you that not through her words, but through her actions. And so what I will say to you, sis, is that you have to decide for yourself how you want your children not to just grow up in your house, but to grow up in this world, because you are teaching them that right now through how you are living your life and showing them how life is supposed to be in this roof with this man who, as long as he is willing to be present for them through convenience, right? Because she's also teaching them that they should be convenient. So we got people pleasers being raised. We got people who won't speak up for their own needs. We have people who allow their own needs to be trampled on for the convenience and the comfort of others. And unfortunately, Mom, you don't recognize some of the more traumatic lessons that you are teaching them by enduring inappropriate behavior from a man because you think you need to make his relationships with his children convenient, even at the price and the cost of you.
Hold on. That was just, first of all, that was just so heavy. And by the way, Carla, thank you so much for coming and bringing that question. You be blessed. Please take that information and run with it, okay?
Yeah, that was powerful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You be blessed. Let me tell you that I always thought the best household was attributed to the man's presence. But when I hear how you describe that, it's the mother's happiness. I can deeply connect with that in so many ways. Because when I think about the moms, because moms have carried our households over the last few generations. And the thing about it is, like, not only have they carried the households, but they've produced very great children. And they've also produced a handful of produced children that was toe up. And when I'm thinking about the level of happiness different moms had different situations, and some of them were. I've seen those very anxious mothers.
Oh yes.
I've seen those.
Oh, and that definitely goes down to the kids.
Yes,
Oh
I was
my
going to say sometimes you've seen
God.
the mothers without ever seeing the mothers.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Because you can see the adults or the children. And please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that a father is not important. I was blessed enough to grow up with both of my grandfathers in my life. With my father, my mother and father are still married. My brother is still married to his sister. I have been raised with great men. But what I'm saying is you don't sit in toxic situations thinking that you are going to yield something healthy. And so a man does not have to be in a home in order to be a powerful, incredible father to his children. Two people do not have to exist under the same roof to still be a family. And so what you want is to be responsible for raising happy, healthy, thriving adults, not adults who have to be put back together because they were broken in their childhood. So whatever you have to do to create that has to be the goal. And it begins with you as a whole healthy parent trying to then raise healthy children.
I like that a lot. I wish she was around to talk to my mom when we was coming up, because it's not just the women that's in those unhealthy relationships. It's women who are single and they in an unhealthy relationship with work.
Absolutely.
You know, and they working themselves to the bone because they want to provide the best for their kids. And it's just like times where I can remember my mom wanting to do stuff for me. I'm just like, I'm not even asking for all that.
Yep.
But she's giving her life for all of that.
Because that's a trauma-based response. She is trying to give you an experience based upon where she experienced something.
Right.
And oftentimes we parent from the place of chasing ghosts. Whatever we had or didn't have, that is what we want to create for our kids. And the problem with that is it doesn't allow us to be present to understand who our children are to meet their needs. We are just trying to satisfy this ghost. So it's really important for us to understand. And oftentimes we just don't.
Thank you so much, by the way, for asking that. That was such a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, y'all have to understand too, we've really created a true, safe, and vulnerable space. So y'all come up on here and ask some real questions, because trust me, you just saved some people in the chat, some people that's watching this on a pre-record. And I want y'all to continue to make sure we first of all, we're going to continue to keep this energy in this space. And I want to make sure y'all come up here bringing them those real questions that y'all really need, and help us also before we take this next call. So we're going to take another call here, Lano. So let's bring in another call. I want y'all in the meantime, get us now. Can we look? We are pretty much at 1,000 people in this room now, guys.
Exactly.
Go ahead and get us to 700 likes. Let's get to 700 likes right now while we over here taking these calls. Lano, let me know when we got one that's coming in. Okay, we got somebody on here now.
Can I also just say this real quick?
Yes,
I think it's so important for her and anybody who's in her situation. If she's already taught him that she's going to keep forgiving for as long as they have children in the house, he is not incentivized to ever stop with the mistreatment.
No consequences.
So she needs to learn that also. She's already taught him that she will keep forgiving him because she wants him to be present there for her kids' lives. So she's literally taught him to continue to do this to her.
So he really thinking, I'm doing all I need to do to stay in this relationship.
Yeah, all I got to do is keep taking the kids out and letting the kids show her how much they love and need me and want me right here. And she'll take however many women I want. Yeah, good dad equals I get to stay.
Yeah.
Welcome to Harley Initiated. Give me your age, your location, and then give me your question. Lana, we got somebody on? All right, you on here now.
Hey,
come on, don't just be breathing.
You're taking a breath. Sometimes it's hard.
You ready?
Now let's
get
to the next caller. Let's get to the next caller here. Y'all got to come up on here and be prepared and ready.
Lana, you got full autonomy to be aggressive.
Oh yeah.
No response. Click it. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah,
hit that Kevin Hart.
We got Dr. Spirit. We got Dr. Spirit on here. We got that new damn. Y'all hear that damn loud. Press that damn again.
Kids when they're young, they may not be able to express themselves like that. But I would say that as they get older, like your kids want you to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
You want your mom to be happy.
Yes.
You want the dad to be happy. You want them to have friends.
Yes.
You want them to go out and do stuff.
You want them to have relationships. Like
Absolutely.
You said, you don't want your mom to never date until you're 18
no
because she's so caught up in you.
Right.
Don't even. That's a whole nother show. Okay,
but I think it's a lot of moms, especially, because men will go out and keep dating. I think moms really do think that.
They're trying to do the right thing. They are trying to do right by their children, but what they don't recognize is that their children need to see them in happy, healthy relationships, because otherwise you create a whole generation of people who think, I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. I don't need nobody. I just need me. I don't care about relationships. They're not even important to me. What I really need to be doing is getting these degrees, getting this money, getting the bag.
And the daughters see that.
And don't know how to be connected. And so then when they get into relationships where the partner is emotionally unavailable, they don't even recognize that that partner is just reflecting back to them who they are and that they're emotionally unavailable too, because they've never seen healthy intimacy modeled for them.
And I think we got somebody here live. Welcome to Heartline Initiated. Give me your age, location, and your question.
What up?
Hello, am I on with you guys?
Yes, you are.
You
What's
live.
up?
How are you?
Okay, look at God.
Yeah, give me your age.
Look at God. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so my age, I'm 35. My name is Nicole, and I'm from Cali.
Nicole
California.
from Cali.
Cali in the
What's
building.
up, Cali? Nicole, how are you? What's your question?
Hey, I'm well. Okay, so I joined the chat kind of late, but it's blessed me so far. Really quickly, I just want to say I was in a relationship with my kid's father for about 14 years, 3 children. Lots of cheating, back and forth, toxic on both sides. I finally, through watching you guys' chat and doing a lot of self-healing, I finally gained the strength to leave. However, as you can hear, I'm trying not to cry.
That's okay.
My question is, how do I become the best version and best, healthiest mother and example for my children? And heal, the proper way, because it's been so challenging to detach myself from this man, because I had the problem where I thought, hey, let me work this out for my kids. He's a great father, and outside of the cheating, I always would veer back to, okay, he's a great father. Let me make this work. However, I was hurt. And like you said, a hurt mother is not a healthy mother. It's not good for the children. And my kids, they mean everything to me. So I had to, bring myself back together and say, this isn't right for me. I got to let this go. I'm still in the process where I'm still hurting. I'm still getting it together. Of course, he's actively trying to get me back to this day, but he's so toxic and he has so many things that he needs to work on himself. As far as just continually looking for other women, but at the same time lying and saying he wants to make it work with me. Clearly, that's never been the truth when you continuously cheat.
Well, here's the hard part about that, sis, is that both things can be true at the same time. He could absolutely want to make it work with you and not have the skills or the level of healing that would be necessary to make that happen. And so he may not be lying to you, which is why he comes back begging and pleading, thinking, I'm going to get it right this time. I promise you, I'm going to do right by you this time, because he may be thinking in his mind that he has the strategy this time in order to actually be successful in being monogamous. But if he does not realize what his wounds are, he will never have the right strategy, because those wounds will always exist and there will be nothing that you can do. You are no match for that stronghold. There will be nothing that you can do to heal him at the level that he needs to heal in order to be able to be committed to a healthy, intimate partner relationship. And him being a great father, see, this is what we have to remember. Parental relationships are not the same as intimate partner relationships. They require a different skill set. They require a different level of intimacy. They require a different level of responsibility. So, but what I would say to you, if I just stay focused on your question, you asked, what do you have to do in order to be able to move on? You have to get into some great therapy to be able to heal the wounds that came even before him, that allowed you to choose him, that allowed you to stay with him, that allow you to tell the story so that he doesn't even have to convince you of staying, because you convince yourself. You have to heal so that you can evolve into a completely different person, so that you are no longer compatible with the level of toxicity that he has, so that when he comes to you to hit you with the same old thing, it won't live in your body in the same way.
Okay. Yes.
Until you rehab that he's always going to fit into the wounded places.
Yeah, and okay. And one other thing, I'm in a place, because I am the woman that never had a father. So I do have those, so-called daddy issues for sure. And I do feel like that's the reason why I kept going back to him so much. But now I'm in a place where when I do meet healthy men, good men, I almost reject them. And I'm just like, what's wrong with me? Like,
you're not compatible with them. See, you just heard me talk about being wounded in that space, right? Healthy cannot live in a wounded environment. So you have to heal and rehabilitate the environment. You reject them because you can't nurture that. You can't meet them in healthy. And you also cannot get well in the same places that made you sick. So that's why you will go back to the old, because you're still in the old toxic way. You know how to navigate that space. But let me also just remind you, and I have to absolve people from this, anybody who is staying in a relationship for their children, you are not responsible for fostering the relationship between your children and their other parent. You are responsible for not impairing or impeding that relationship. And that is a big difference.
Okay.
Your children can have an amazing relationship with their father if their father wants to have an amazing relationship with his children. But you cannot create that. You cannot fight that. You cannot push that. You cannot demand that. Even if he is under the same roof as you, you cannot create that with him if that is not his will or desire for him and his children.
Okay.
Listen, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming up here.
You got to get a session in.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say you guys are such a blessing, and just keep doing what you're doing. You have no idea how much your channel helps me. Thank you so much, you guys. All right.
Yes,
thank you, Nicole.
Be blessed.
That's dope. That's dope.
Right.
Shout out to Nicole. So shout out to another Nicole, not the same Nicole Greenheart for sending over the super chat. Shout out to the Red Stallion for sending over the super chat. And we got a question too. You ready for
Go ahead.
Take the question?
Go ahead.
So shout out to the French lady.
I'm like, what's the question?
No, that's a good one. So wait, first off, I just really want to tell Nicole and everybody that we appreciate y'all. Me and Tyshawn, Dr. Spear, I was telling you about this off air. We went to King Canyons, one of our experts that we have on the show. He had intimate conversations for MTV, pitching something to MTV in Atlanta. We went out and we told on the show that we was gonna show up for support. And it was a good experience. It was a good show. Some people out on dates, beautiful women, guys out as well. And after the show ended, it was a group of people.
It was a line.
It was a line of people. And I was blown away by this out of body experience. Facts. It was a line of people and I seen one particular young lady looking at me, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I'm Ryan. She was like, I know who you are. She was like, what you talking about? I know who you are.
I listen to you every morning.
You're right. And it was just amazing. I mean, they showed us so much love. I mean, we were just hugging, taking pictures, and the feedback that we was getting from the show, because you see people say things online and we get messages, but actually being there to feel it and experience it in person, I was like, wow. I mean, it motivated me so much. I was like, Ty, all of a sudden I'm like, man, we got to do so much more. Right. I'm like, we need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this, And I mean, I guess Ty, you could talk about how it felt, but it was just really beautiful and amazing. I was just very appreciative.
Yeah, I mean, all this time, that we've been building this, that was our first, offline experience intentionally in that where we told people we was gonna be somewhere. And it was light. It wasn't our event, but we told them we was gonna be there to touch them in that way. And it was just so beautiful because it's nothing like really feeling people energy, in real life and really seeing, who you impacting. And just know we don't take this lightly. We understand that this is a major responsibility. We in your households, we in your morning routines, we in your night routines, we in your lives. And we take it very seriously. And just know we plan every day. All we do is think about how we can be better for you guys. So that's something that we take very seriously. And I appreciate you guys for letting us in your life. And that's why we got Dr. Spirit up on here.
Oh, man. It's such an honor, isn't it? Like when I just really think like being able to help somebody live their best life is like, such a gift.
Yeah.
For somebody to entrust you with their
Yes.
life, with their heart, with their experiences.
Yeah.
Like, I never take it lightly.
Absolutely.
Never.
Shout out to Jessica Black. Shout out to Marvetta. Shout out to Alicia. Shout out to Felice, Olivia. Shout out to Cesare. It was so many people.
You got a super.
That's
Do
dope.
you have a super chat that you want to read, or we gonna take
Yeah,
another
yeah.
call?
Let me read the super chat real quick. So
After this, we'll open up the phone lines.
shout out
take
to the
another
French
call.
lady. She says, I am currently in a budding relationship with a man who's been hurt badly by a past relationship. Okay. How can I be the soft and safe place for him whenever he feels overwhelmed by emotions but hesitates?
So here's the interesting thing about that. I would be very careful about doing that without a plan in place for him to do the work to heal that. Because if she doesn't, then what will happen is she will become the caretaker to his trauma in the relationship, and then she will become exhausted by that. And so, what this is an opportunity. If you are in a budding relationship, and I would say also, when you are in a budding relationship, you don't act like you are life mates before you make the decision to have that be the case. Okay. So she really needs to be aware of what the dynamic is. And if she has a partner who has been wounded and has extensive trauma where it's showing up like this already, I would want to know, what are you doing to heal that trauma? And can we talk openly about how that trauma is going to affect our ability to have a healthy relationship with each other? Because he's going to constantly be triggered. And then she's going to start to adjust her behavior in order not to trigger him. So she may become less of herself in order to then take care of him. And that's how you develop codependency in relationships. Codependency says, I don't think, I don't feel, and I don't behave without thinking about how this is going to affect my partner. And if it's something that is going to be triggering or wounding for them, even if it's healthy for me or healthy for our relationship, I simply won't do it. And then all of a sudden you start dying slowly on the vine, feeling unfulfilled because everything about your relationship becomes you being a caretaker and them continuing to stay wounded. And that's not healthy for either of those people in that dynamic.
There we go.
For him or her.
I really understand what codependency meant. I never heard it broke down like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, I love that. I'm glad I could get, for real. I won't cut my hair if I don't think he's gonna like it. I won't buy that thing in the store if that's not the brand, because that may upset them. I usually go out with my mother on Sundays, but if he's gonna feel lonely, I'm not gonna do that anymore. All of a sudden, whatever I'm going to do, my whole intention is to make sure that he's never triggered or traumatized or uncomfortable or overwhelmed in this relationship. And all overwhelmed means is I can't manage the intensity of the feelings that are already living in my body. They need to come up with a plan, because that's a problem in need of a solution. He needs treatment. He's had trauma. That is his body's way of telling him he needs care. She can't be the caretaker. He needs professional care to heal those wounds so that he's no longer experiencing that level of pain and then bleeding onto her and his relationships.
Great counsel.
Great counsel. And somebody else needs some counsel on the phone line here today. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. Give me your age, location, and your question.
Hi, am I on to you guys now?
Yes, you are here.
Welcome to the show.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was a recorded line. Okay. My name is Nanya, and I'm 38, and I'm calling from DC. So I literally grew up myself. I grew up in a house where I have my mom and my dad, but I had a present father who was absent in my life. However, that kind of like affected everything that I had to do, my relationship and everything. So I'm really close to tears right now. It affected everything so much that when I went into a relationship, I wouldn't be able to, know when I'm actually being abused and stuff like that. It took a while before I could, really understand all of these things. However, my question right now is, I've been so angry that a lot of the mistakes that I've made in life were things that, my parents actually made, and I would have been better
of if they were vulnerable with me and shared their experiences with me, and that would have helped me to become, better and not treated in the same way that they did. Now, my parents are so secretive about things that they have been through. I don't even know how they met, and I don't know about the love story. I don't know anything. Now, my adult age, I'm just beginning to find out some things. Now, I've been through therapy. Listening to her today, um, it just kind of makes me feel like I still need to go back, to get more help because at some point I healed, I forgave them, and I moved on with my life. But as the days go by, I find out more things about them, and it breaks me down. So for every time I find out things about them, it breaks me down. How can I move past this? Do I need to get them to go through therapy as well? Do I need to sit them down to open up and tell me everything that they need to tell me at once so that I can just internalize everything, go through therapy and get healed? But that's not easy because we're all in separate countries, and like I said, my parents are not the kind of people that open up easily. So that really sucks and that hurts. I'm trying to heal completely so that I don't bleed on someone else. Because right now I have been out of relationship for almost 5 years, and I've been celibate for this period. And I don't even know how to receive someone if the person came back. Mm-hmm. And that's because of all the things that are happening around me. So I really don't know how to deal with it, and I really want to move past this.
Well, when you recognize that the beauty of this, since we're talking about forgiveness tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the beauty of this is you don't ever have to go through therapy with your parents in order to forgive them for not being able to give you what you needed in order to be okay in your life. And when you recognize that I find myself triggered over and over because every time my present experiences don't give me what I need, I become angry with them all over again because they didn't give it to me. But what I want you to understand is that your parents could not give you what they did not have. And so you are now seeing in your life what intergenerational trauma looks like. Both of your parents came into relationship with each other wounded and emotionally unavailable. They got together and stayed together for whatever needs they were able to meet, whether it was your father was able to continue being emotionally unavailable and your mother just simply needed protection and security in that situation. Whatever were their agreements for the reason why they got into relationship and stayed in relationship, what you experienced was the product or the consequence of their agreements. And so you now are emotionally unavailable in the same way that your father was emotionally unavailable. And you are in a situation where you are wanting to have a different experience. The question is now, are you willing to go back into therapy, to do the work, to recognize that just because my parents didn't give me or teach me something doesn't mean that I can't give it to myself now? The beauty here is that you don't need them to give you the things that you need to have the experiences that you want now. You don't ever have to have their understanding. You don't ever need those stories in order to live a life of vulnerability now. But what you do have to do is you have to heal from the trauma that came out of surviving your parents, that came out of surviving the experience that being their child meant, and that what it's costing you now. How do you go from surviving to healing to thriving? That's what she has to do.
Wow. That was heavy. Listen, thank you so much for calling up here and asking that question. Please stay here and finish out the show here with us, but blessings to you and your family, okay?
Sure, thank you.
It is not easy. It is not easy for us to recognize the ways in which our parents wounded us. whether they had the best intentions or they were simply in survival mode themselves. But when you recognize, I do not need my parents to heal me now and to give me what I need in order to live my best life now, that is the most empowering space you can be in, because there is healing in that, no matter how old you are, whether you are 99 and listening to this podcast or you are 19 listening to this podcast, you can heal you now, and you don't need them to be a part of that process for you to heal.
That is freeing.
Mm-hmm.
You have the complete power
Mm-hmm.
of your own destiny. You're not dependent on nobody else to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very, very empowering. Honestly, as soon as you said that actually, because, I know you're a great therapist, and I know I'm just not even qualified to be a therapist, because some questions that come on, I'm like, first of all, where do you start with this? Like
they're loaded.
It's loaded because it's so much. It's like years of information, and then trying to give somebody a way to navigate that. That was a very empowering way.
Yeah.
Or something, an empowering piece to give them and to walk away with. That was dope.
Well, it always starts off, and I appreciate that, but it always starts off with what emotion is screaming the loudest. And what does that emotion need in order to get some relief? So you're hearing people who are trying to hold it together because they're overwhelmed.
She did sound very overwhelmed.
She's overwhelmed with anger. Right? She's overwhelmed with resentment. She's overwhelmed with frustration, because to have to be living a life that you believe is the result of all of the secrets and all of the emotional unavailability and all of these things, and your life keeps going wrong. And every time it goes wrong, it goes back to that. But the part that we often miss is, I can heal that myself now. And when you can connect to your parents' stories as much as you are able to, you will go from having anger for them to having empathy.
Oh my goodness. Because I ain't gonna lie. When I'm talking to my mom and hearing what she done been through, a lot of us, whatever trauma you done been through, is light compared to going back some generations. You keep going back some of the things that they went through,
just
trust
to survive
me,
for us
just
to be
to
here.
survive. I'm talking about it gets absolutely heavy, like absolute reverence for my mom and everybody else that even raised me, because they did some things that I don't know if I would be strong enough to weather through to today, just hearing it. And when I think about it, it's incredible, because you're right. Like, I think that's probably one of the best ways, if you do want to forgive your parents, is to understand that truth.
Yeah, because the hard part is they had to disconnect from themselves so that they could survive, so that you could be here.
Yeah.
So that is why we become the generation of, I know my parents love me, even though they didn't hug me, even though they didn't kiss on me, even though they didn't say it. How they did it was they put a roof over my head. They put food in my stomach. They didn't give me the same experiences that they had to survive. So they didn't put their hands on me. They didn't bring tons of different men around me. They did everything that they know how to do, short of being able to give me emotional availability, because they had to turn that off at some point in their lives just to be able to make it through.
And y'all, what I want y'all to do real quick, guys, because we got only 592 likes still. Please, guys, the likes help spread the message. And if you have not subscribed, please also click the subscribe button and help us push this to 750 likes really quickly. I need everybody to close your chat, hit the thumbs up, and get us to 750. And I think I hear a voice on here right now. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. Give me your age, your location, as well as your question.
All right. So my location, I'm in California, so the Bay Area. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. Shout out to the Bay Area.
All right, Bay Area. There we go. All right. So I was in a relationship.
Hold on, what's your age? What's your age?
Oh, I'm 53.
Okay, there you go.
Oh my goodness, you sound like you're from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
What you know about the Bay? What you know about the Bay?
I know E40.
E40. Yeah, that's all we know.
That's all y'all know.
Short.
That's right. All right. So I'm from the Bay Area. Was in a relationship 30 plus years. Was a long-term girlfriend. Okay. Definitely got my get back. It was always initiated by him, but I feel guilty about it now, but I definitely got my get back.
So let me just fast forward a little bit. Right at the end of the relationship that I left it because I got tired of the infidelity. So at the end of the relationship, I waited until the kids got out the house. I have a 29-year-old and a 22-year-old in college. So when that last kid left, I left because I couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't want to repeat that cycle. But what happened was he ended up having a cardiac arrest, right? Perfectly healthy man. They couldn't find out what happened to him. I mean, why he had that cardiac arrest. He's still living. But, at that point, seeing him in the hospital, when he got out, I said, I forgive you. But I don't even know if it's a true forgiveness. How do I know that I truly forgave him?
Well, what makes you question it? Because you said, I don't even know if it is. What in your mind is making you question whether or not you have truly forgiven him?
Because I still get angry about the fact that we went through this when we agreed not to.
Mm-hmm. What was it about him having a heart attack and being in the hospital that made you decide, let me just go ahead and forgive him?
Because he almost lost his life.
And what did that mean?
That was enough. That meant that, he could no longer be here. And I didn't want to see that for him.
So you forgave him as an act of thinking that somehow me forgiving you is going to allow you to continue to survive on this planet.
That's how I felt. I felt like he was brokenhearted more than anything.
So let me make sure that I understand. And I want you to understand that brokenhearted, believe it or not, is a physical thing. There is something called broken heart syndrome that when you have that, it releases hormones into your bloodstream that literally enlarge the ventricles in your heart. It literally creates all kind of inflammation in your body and all of these things. But what I want you to understand is your forgiveness is not the thing that's going to save him. And so I don't want you to think that it's that simple. Well, let me just go on and forgive the man, then he'll feel better. Your man still has all the hurt and the wounds and the trauma that caused him to bleed on you and misbehave and violate the relationships in the way that he did. What is going to help him live longer is to get the stress off of him and the guilt that he feels and the shame that he feels and the sadness that he feels and the regret that he feels and the abandonment or rejection or all the other things that broke him before he tried to come into relationship with you. You're thinking that somehow if I just forgive him, then that's going to save him. And that's not true forgiveness because, as you said, I'm still angry. I gave him the behavior. I didn't give him the feeling. You don't have the feeling of forgiveness. You're giving him the act, but the act is a hollow act, thinking that that's somehow going to fix this. Your forgiveness is the Band-Aid when you really need to get to the antibiotic. So the question is, what needs to happen in this relationship for him to first do his own healing work so that he can even receive your forgiveness and he can change his behaviors by having new ways of dealing with the pain that he lives with? And then for you, how do you really get past the anger? By doing the work that you need to do. So you recognize he did some really messed up things to me. I have the right to be angry about that, but I can also choose to let the anger go when I'm ready. And I don't want to just make the fact that he may no longer be on the planet the impetus or the reason for me finally deciding to forgive. I promise you, God forbid he passes away before you, you'll be sitting at his funeral heartbroken but pissed off with him at the exact same time because you got
that's exactly what it is.
Come on now, you're gonna be sitting there mad because you never got to the healing. Get to the healing before either one of you leave this planet. Otherwise, it becomes the things left unsaid. And then your kids are forced to deal with the pain that the living person will continue to carry because it can never be solved. So they inherit it and it goes on to live in them and you all's future generations. It's just not fair.
Okay.
Man, thank you so much for coming up here and asking that question. Shout out to the Bay Area.
Shout out to the Bay.
Bay Area. That's right.
West Side. You be
all right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Wow.
I ain't gonna lie. Look, we need to do a vote. Should Dr. Spirit be the official therapist or hardly initiated?
So,
because you're going in tonight. You really you feeling the people's hearts right now.
Oh, that's so good. I'm thankful.
So
What's? Oh wait, Ryan. He ain't
hold
there.
on. Hold on.
Are you okay? What's
Yeah,
wrong?
man.
What's wrong?
Okay,
What's wrong?
he needs to catch his breath.
I never seen this happen. Wait, Dr. Spirit,
Did I do something wrong?
I don't know. I think my man's is triggered. He about to go.
Well, why wouldn't he stay though if he's triggered? And what makes you assume automatically that because he steps away and
because
removes himself, that he might be triggered?
I've never saw that happen.
Mm.
So,
Man,
why you couldn't?
No, so had to just get a breath real quick. So, shout out to Lominique. Shout out to Lominique, Missouri. That's actually my sister. It's my sister's sister. My sister's blood sister. Just sent over this super chat, which is crazy. Shout out to Lominique. She says, "Thank you, Dr. Spirit. That answer helped me with battling with believing in marriage, or that I am not my parents, because I can't even read that. You read that real quick. I gotta catch my breath real quick. It's kind of crazy."
Thank you, Dr. Spirit. That answer helped me with battling with believing in marriage, or that I am not my parents, because in total I can from multiple divorce, and I am now prolonging my engagement because of that fear of divorce.
Let me tell you,
she came from multiple divorces, and so she recognizes that she won't take the step into marriage because of all of the trauma that she is holding in her body and in her mind.
So Lominique, send us an email. I don't want to get my personal phone number out online, but email me your contact info at HOTLINE.com. I haven't spoke to Lominique in years.
So she's your biological sister?
No, that's my sister's biological sister.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister's 28. So first off, Lominique have been through some shit, because we all have been through a lot of stuff. And her father is my stepfather.
Okay.
And her father and my mom had a tumultuous relationship coming up.
So that's your stepsister.
That's my stepsister. Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now it's my sister's
biological
sister.
Mm-hmm.
So my sister been through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, about a year ago, I had a conversation with my sister where she just revealed, I mean, we lived in the same household, but we had completely different experiences.
Of course.
And it's things that have sat on my sister from being around. She was a little bit younger. I was about, 6 to 13 when, my mom was dealing with my stepfather at the time. My sister was, from birth to about 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that my sister shared with me were, I just didn't know. I just didn't know she had all these things going on. So, and my sister got a lot of stuff going on. So just emotionally, considering that I'm sure she had not talked to Lominique in years. I haven't talked to her in years, haven't even thought about it, but probably because all of the stuff we dealt with in the past.
Absolutely.
And my sister now, she has these ideas, which I'm sure is very similar to Lominique, that relationships, she hasn't explicitly stated this, but I know my sister's philosophy in relationships,
which is
she don't mess with them.
Yeah.
She don't do them.
Yeah.
She doesn't bring guys around like that. She doesn't bring anybody around like that.
Yeah.
And after speaking to her about a year ago, I started to understand why that might be. And with Lominique sending over this super chat, which is so crazy, the show just brings us into all kind of stuff.
It does.
What did it touch in you? And I promise not to. Well, no, I don't. But I won't therapize you too much. But what did it bring up in you that that literally took your breath away?
It still is now. Is I know my sister thinks the way she thinks because of how we grew up.
Of course.
And I know that the reason she says certain things like, I don't want to have kids, or like, the way she is because of the way we grew up. So it just really makes me frustrated and angry that my sister has to deal with these things, and it's nothing that I can really do. And when I think about, how she operates in general, it really makes me upset. And it's a lot of things that I share online that I would really want for my sister.
Well, and what I would say is that your sister is not the only person who's dealing with these things.
Right.
You are too, right? Because you can't have one without the other. We are all interconnected. And if your audience doesn't learn anything else tonight, I think that that is the most valuable lesson, which is that everything you have ever experienced in your life, whether directly or indirectly, is impacting how you are showing up at this very moment. That life is developmental. Even the things that you cannot remember, ages 0 to 5, still impact the way that you see the world, because everything that you've experienced has taught you whether you can trust or not trust, whether you are safe or unsafe, whether you are loved and can show love. To what level can I be vulnerable in this life and still feel safe is the ultimate challenge that we are all trying to experience in every single relationship that we have.
Thought Spirit is so crazy because I'm just thinking about so much right now.
Yeah.
My body is just unsteady. I can't even remember the last time I even thought about that relationship that my mom was in. But even when I think about Lamini, even I think about her name, because, that's my sister's last name, Missouri, I just think about so many things. But one of the things that I don't know if people really realize, like when you try to bring these families together, because he brought his kids to the relationship. My mom brought us to the relationship. It's beef and resentment and frustration that's created that has nothing to do with the actual kids.
Yeah.
But I could just remember, I'm even thinking now, like, damn, why? I know my sister had these issues with her father and I had issues as well. But I'm thinking now, why don't we talk to them? Why don't we talk to the kids?
Yep.
They didn't have nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah.
And I can imagine if I was to tell my sister what happened tonight, she might just bust out and start crying.
Yeah.
That's not even something she want to think about.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she might get upset if I bring her the bring of her sister.
But she might get upset because she's overwhelmed because of all the complicated, complex, intense emotions that are in there that she's learned how to compartmentalize and lock away for her own survival. Because to have to touch any of it would be overwhelming. And most of us are just trying to get through today. We can't unpack everything that's happened. We don't want to touch it. We don't got time. We're too stressed out just trying to make it through the now. But if we don't, it is still poisoning us. It is still impacting us. That's why you're having a physiological response right now, because
I'm very embarrassed about this right now.
You don't have to be embarrassed. You are human. So what's happening is you got a shot of adrenaline in your body. Your nervous system has become activated. So that fight, flight, or freeze is happening. This is a biological thing that happens in order for you to determine whether or not you are safe. So the only thing that I want you to do is take a deep breath. No, I'm serious. And the reason for that is because when you are activated, when your fight or flight is activated, you literally cannot breathe and take a deep breath if there is actual danger present. So you being able to take slow, controlled, deep breaths tells your body that there is no threat here, and it will start to calm itself down. But it's going to take a few minutes because you literally have these hormones flowing through your bloodstream right now. It has accelerated how fast you think. Your heart is racing. Your pupils are dilated. Your blood pressure is up. You are beginning to sweat. All of these things are normal things that you may not even recognize that go along with the emotional experiences that we have. It's very real. It's very real. And all of this is locked in you. All of this is locked in your sister, in your stepsister, in your family dynamic. And it's being passed down if you choose to have children or not. And it's spread out across all of your relationships, even the relationships you have and don't have with each other, because there's so much pain to have to unpack. And so instead, we just build walls and containers with lids and tops and screws and staples and whatever it is in order to pack those things away, thinking that it doesn't affect us when it really is killing us slowly.
Wow.
I ain't even gonna lie, this getting me emotional. It's crazy. It's like, it's really just seeing it all happen that way.
Yeah, it's so real. I mean, that's why I do the work, so that I can help people understand what is literally happening in them that they are trying to live with every day. These callers talking to you about all of this lives in them every day while they are still trying to go to work, while they're still trying to be friends and sisters and parents and neighbors and partners, and they're teachers and bankers and doctors and lawyers and podcasters and you name it, because we are humans having human experiences, and every last one of them is affecting our quality of functioning. Every last one of them is either making us healthier or making us sick.
Yeah. I know. I mean, it even makes me think, even while Ryan's going through it, you know, I have siblings too. And, you know, it's funny how, you know, you could grow up in the house, especially people who on here who have siblings. It's funny how, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people can grow up in the same house and all have these different experiences.
They're supposed to.
All have these different traumas.
Every last person.
All have these different things that they're dealing with.
Yes.
And it's so interesting kind of seeing how that just plays out, you know, over time.
Yeah. You can have literally identical twins and ask them about their life's experiences, and they will be as individual as those two people. Right? We have different lenses, different filters, how we process things, how we understand things, how we feel things. We are unique and intimately and intricately designed.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it works.
Wow.
Your siblings have had a completely different experience. That's why one can see your childhood as a nightmare while the other sees it as the greatest experience that any kid could ever have.
Oh, man. And that happens. That happens so much. When I was talking to my sister, I'm the oldest, by the way.
Me too.
That's my little brother. He's the youngest.
Oh,
he's back there.
Brother.
Yeah. And my sister, she's like in the middle.
Okay.
It's funny. All of us have these so grave different experiences. And when I talk to my sis and she tells me the stuff that she's going through in the lens she sees, and I'm like, wow, that was your experience?
Yeah. You're like, that's how you remember that?
You felt like that?
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that. Yeah. I got this.
Yeah. And
even my little brother, you know, like he caught a very, very different experience as well. And much like Ryan too, like I feel in some ways responsible for the success of my siblings, whether right or wrong, in many ways, especially now that my stepdad, their biological fathers, is no longer here.
Well, wait, where did you learn that you are responsible for the outcome of your siblings?
I don't know if I don't know if I learned it. I do feel it. I don't know if I learned it. But
you learned it in order to feel it.
Well, I mean,
it's a conclusion. It's a logic. It is a conclusion that you have drawn. So you had to learn that in order to think it.
Yeah, I know I do, because even if they're not doing or performing well, I don't even like talking to other people about them not performing well. You know, like I don't even like that's like embarrassment.
So you personalize their quality of choices.
And I guess you could say that.
It's a personal failure. If your little brother or your little sister is not living well or doing well or making good choices, it's a personal reflection on you.
Yes. I would say that.
That's a lot of weight to carry.
I know. I mean,
especially when you're not in control of any of it.
That's true. You know, I guess in some ways too, I do feel like, you know, it's duty in some ways, you know, to, you know, be responsible for, especially when you're the oldest too. I think you've kind of always kind of had to, in some ways, be responsible for them at certain levels.
Is that what you experienced growing up?
Yeah.
You were parentified?
Well, no, not. I mean, it's levels to parentified, right?
Yeah. Look out for your brother. Here, do this. Go get me that diaper. Hey, take your sister with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think most probably older siblings can probably say that was probably a role that they played in.
Where did you learn that most of them could?
I'm just talking to other oldest, like the people who are the oldest.
Oh, okay. We call that anecdotal evidence. We've had one or two people, or we assume that's how everybody thinks. Kind of what Ryan said before. Like it didn't even dawn on him that other people would see something differently.
Right.
We
That's
just
true.
kind of take on naturally, if this is how we're seeing the world and experiencing it that way, surely most people must be too.
You 100%. If my very few data on other people who said they're the oldest,
Yeah.
they said
It's common. It's common. I just wanted to know, where did you learn it?
yeah, just through life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a lot. It is a lot of weight. And I will be honest. I think a major part of just when I'm really thinking about the man I have like envisioned for myself to be and become,
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a man who's carrying a load.
Well, let me ask you, if that feels like a lot of weight, is that a lot of weight that you want to carry?
It is.
Why?
Because I truly feel like I want to be a major resource to my family.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be like a major difference maker
Mm-hmm.
in the future of my family.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of like just the general state of my family
Mm-hmm.
and how I feel like we're a bit even disconnected as a family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ain't no family reunions. It's just certain things in place
Yeah.
that we don't have together that I think
Yeah.
a strong family should.
Yeah.
And I think it takes somebody to be able to put a weight on their shoulders to kind of carry that, to be able to make sure that that's something that can be in place.
Yeah, but see, you could also free yourself and be a lot more effective in that possibility by saying, I do that from a place of desire as a place of obligation, which, by the way, your brother and your sister may not see that the same, may not want you to carry their weight or their responsibility, or may recognize their own accountability in taking care of themselves and being a contributing member of the family in order to share the burden or that weight with you. You can make the choice to want to be a change maker or a chain breaker in your family without having to say, I am going to bear the responsibility of the actions of any individual in my family, which, if you really think about it, you are not in control of anyway. You are not no matter how much you want to hold that weight, you are never in control of the choices that your brother makes. You can influence them if he chooses to allow that, or you can totally be separated from that, but it's not up to you. So to carry the weight or the burden or even the honor or the glory of their own choosing and the lives that they are carving out for themselves says that you are responsible and you have power that you simply don't. You're not in control of that. So how do you free yourself from that so you can actually be effective in creating the kind of family traditions and legacy that you want? And even then, that's an invitation, because you can only establish it, but you need every member of the family that you want to be present to walk through the door and accept the invitation. You're only in control of whether or not you set the invitation. You're not in control of whether they RSVP and or actually show up.
Right.
How do you free yourself from the weight of that? Because that's something too heavy for any single man to carry without that eventually breaking your back.
I have no idea.
Mm.
I don't.
Yeah.
I guess my goal was just to become as successful as possible so I can insulate and increase the likelihood that I can have the resources. And, you know, I mean, I do think in some ways, is it not true? And is it not true? Because I do feel like a part of just being a man comes with a weight that comes with, you know, that part of life, right? Like one of my mentors used to always say this. He used to say, like, our lives are not for us. You know, like, we're put here purposefully to give to others, right? So, like, what's the balance between assuming too much and actually living purposefully and giving to others how you should?
Well, I always say stop shoulding on yourself, because that's a powerful word, the should, because then the question becomes, where did you get that? And again, how do you believe that that's the experience that everybody is having? What you're talking about is a very communal and collective way of seeing the world that says, I am a global citizen. I am interconnected to every other person on this planet. Therefore, I have responsibilities to all of those people, beginning with those who are most closest to me in proximity, my siblings, my family.
Yeah.
But not everybody believes that. There are many people who believe every man for himself. Don't look to me to do anything. I don't owe you nothing. Nothing is due to me. My only job is to be the captain of my ship and take care of me as an individual vessel. Not everybody is sharing that collective burden or that load. And so that's why I'm saying, first and foremost, do you have the desire to do a particular thing? And then do you have the ability to do that? Those are two very different things. And you need both to be present in order to have a shot at success.
I'm definitely working on the ability.
Yeah. But I also want you to think about this idea of that I have decided that the people who come up under me do not ever have to learn how to fly because I am going to carry all of you on my back. And is that the best way for you and or them? And then what happens if that breaks you or kills you, or through natural selection, you go away and they have never learned how to fly? Are they better for that if your goal is to create legacy for them? Or are you leaving them worse off for generations to come?
Those are all great questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going too deep. We're going too deep, Dr.
I'm sorry. Come back to the surface. Light,
we going too deep.
lollipops, cotton candy.
No facts.
The counsel that you provide, in every situation we had, the super chats, me and Tom personal situations, the call-ins, it's just very thorough. And I can learn something from all of even though I may not be going through that specific situation.
Yeah.
It's like just hearing you speak. I think it's the tone too. It's the tone, the rhythm, the counsel, everything. It's like, it's a session. It's a true session.
I love that. Maybe that's what I need to call it, is the session. But this is what happens when you really do the work, right? Wow. This is different than just, I have an opinion to give. This is thousands of hours of education, and not just in the books, but thousands of hours of sitting with people in the most painful places, in the darkest places, in the most hopeful places, in the joyous places. This is learning how to connect the dots and hear what's happening in between the words. It is how to decipher and translate the emotions. And so wanting to teach people how to do this and meet them at whatever level they are at. If they are at just the basic, I just don't even know how I feel, or I have done so much work, I understand where I am and I still want to go deeper. But in order to take people to those depths, you have to have been there, and you have to know how to get your way back. And so it's just a matter of really doing the work and really, really, really being committed to making a difference. I am here to make a difference. That is my weight and my burden, to teach people how to fly.
And you okay with that? You okay with that burden?
I live for that burden.
Okay.
Because it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like a blessing.
Yeah. I love that. Now we got one more. I think you probably getting ready to okay, good.
No, do your thing.
I got one more. Me and Minion. First off, no family, no more family.
You can't take it.
No more family messages. All right. Shout out to me and Minion.
Your sister said, "Shoot me to the top. Let's go."
Right. Me and Minion. She says, "Is it strange?" Oh, this is a good question. Is it strange that I'm happily single and not interested in dating? I will be 63 in November. I've had 3 unsuccessful relationships in my entire life, 5 years, 6 years, and marriage for less than 1 year.
So no, it's not strange, but it's likely a defense mechanism that your body learned that I would much rather figure out how to be happily single than be wounded to try again and be disappointed. Most of us are hardwired to be interconnected, and that's not everybody. We do have some people who, for different reasons and how they're predisposed and how they're wired, they just don't necessarily desire interconnectedness with other people. But most of us are hardwired to be connected. And so what I hear in that is it strange? So it's already quote unquote strange to you. And by strange, I just mean it's raising a flag in you that is it normal that I don't want to try again? No, it absolutely makes sense that you wouldn't want to try again. And why would you if you've been hurt over and over, even to the point that you committed your forever to somebody and you didn't make it a year? But what I would say to you is, if you desire it, and if you recognize that I have not had it, here you are in your 60s. My question to you is, before you leave this planet, Do you want to experience the love and intimacy that you dream of? Do you want to experience it? And are you willing to push past the discomfort to explore what has stopped you? And the problem is not in you. The problem is in your choosing. And there is something that you have experienced at different points in your life that are causing you to choose the wrong person. Your picker is broken. You are not. And so the question is, how do we fix your picker so that you pick someone who will yield the experiences that you dream of, not the experiences that keep showing you over and over that it is better and safer and happier for you if you choose to be alone? Because nobody really wants to be alone.
First off, the way you chopped up her question, because she was coming out with that about what was it? It was, what did she say? Is it strange?
Yeah.
You really broke that down.
Yeah.
What was really being communicated right there.
Yeah. It's not good. That it's strange. It's when your meter is going off to you. See, and that's where the reintroduction to yourself is. You have all the answers that you need. My job is just to reflect back to you. I'm just holding the mirror, pointing out, asking you, do you see that? Do you see that? Do you think that connects to that? Does that feel like that's the right fit? What happens if we turn that around? Then that creates that picture. Oh, is that what you thought that picture was? What part is that linked to? I am helping you put together the pieces of your life in a way that allows you to see things more clearly so you can create the rest of the picture that you want.
Wow. So over 1,000 people in the room, Spirit. Over 1,000 people in the room. Shout out to Greg D for sending over the super chat. Shout out to Risa Jones.
I can't believe they stayed. We went real deep. We had snorkels on. We was Jacques Cousteau up in this piece. Oxygen tanks.
What?
Y'all stayed. I love you.
It was one level away from tears up in this joint.
My girl Teresa, she says, the Bible says a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. She says that we getting refreshed right now by Dr. Spirit tonight.
Oh yeah, we are.
Which I agree. Shout out to Nicole Greenhart for updating the membership to become an elite initiate. Shout out to my
elites.
Shout out to my sister Lamonique Missouri, and shout out to Katrina Morrison for all joining the membership. I actually dropped a poll in here because I was curious, because we had people. I mean, forgiveness comes from, or I guess it can be directed toward a lot of different people. We had people call about lovers, people call about parents. So I actually dropped this poll. I said, who do you truly want to forgive but haven't been able to? So the options are parents, friends, a lover, or some other family member.
Oh, you didn't put yourself.
Oh, that would have been a great option. That was okay.
That's okay though. Let's go with what you got.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So guys, go ahead and put those votes if you haven't. But we had 272 votes in that poll, and the 41% of people said that it's actually a lover that they want to forgive, and the second highest percentage is a parent.
Yeah. It's because a lover is the most intimate relationship that we can be in. It is the person that we allow into the most intimate, vulnerable parts of ourselves. The parent is the very first person who teaches us how to love. And so oftentimes what we don't recognize is that the problems that we have with our lovers go back to the wounds that we had with our parents. And so it does not surprise me, not even a little bit. I wish you would have asked me. Then
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If we had to just have you were picking a husband, right? By the way, you already.
I did pick the husband.
She already
married, by the way. Good one.
Been happily married now for 18
years now. Wow. Yeah. But you single.
7 children. 7 children. Okay, I'm single.
Okay,
I know how to do single. Come on, I can do single.
So we doing a created husband for you.
Okay.
Okay. And he's a great man, right? He's a great man overall. But we got to give him potential daddy issues or mommy issues. It's going to be issues on one of those.
Okay.
Which one, as a man, is going to be more detrimental to his development or his ability to have a successful relationship with a woman? Is the daddy issues or the mommy issues going to be more severe or detrimental to the man?
It depends on which parent broke him emotionally. And I will say that just because he's great would not make him great for me. There are a lot of great people who are not compatible with each other. And so we got to get off of the checklist. They fit everything. So that should be the person. That ain't it. But whichever parent broke him in a space where he is wounded emotionally will be the parent or the issues that I would not want. Because in order to be able to be emotionally healthy with someone else in a relationship, you first have to be emotionally healthy with yourself. Right. So if his parent, either one of them, broke his heart, made him believe that he was unworthy, made him insecure about whether or not he mattered enough, didn't spend enough time with him, made him feel that he was rejected or abandoned or neglected or any of those things, or gave him an inferiority complex, whoever broke that in him, as his partner, I would inherit those problems. I would inherit the trauma. I would inherit the poison. And he will never be able to show up with me in a way that allows me to connect with him in those spaces. And he will never let me in a way that allows us to truly have real intimacy. So it's different for every child. Sometimes it's their father and other times it's their mother.
So either way, pretty much, because the mommy issues or daddy, there's no one that's worse. Is what I was kind of looking for. Like, there's no relationship with either parent that is a better indicator for the success that you might have in your future relationships?
I know what you're asking. Not necessarily, because it is predicated on the intimacy that you have with that parent. It's not just because I'm a girl that I need my daddy's love in a certain way. My mother could break me in many, many ways and shatter me. It's not just because I'm a girl that all of a sudden, or I'm a boy that all of a sudden I don't need my mom and I just need my dad. What we need is emotional connection. Children need developmentally to bond with other people that are supposed to be their protectors, that are supposed to be their nurturers, that are supposed to be their safety, that are supposed to be their soft place to fall. They need that connection. And when that connection is broken with either parent, that impacts them and teaches them a lesson about the world. And then they go off into the world having relationships with everybody else based upon the lessons that they've learned. So it starts with the relationship that they have with themselves, then their siblings, then their parents, then their teachers, then their friends, then their community. Ultimately, it gets played out in intimate partner relationships at a higher level because I'm the most vulnerable there. So you have the most likelihood to hurt me the deepest in my intimate partner relationships.
Wow. I know when it comes to the ladies a lot, one thing that you hear in the space is, I don't want no lady with daddy issues. I don't want no lady, because we talked about the guy a little bit, but that's one thing that's really common. They talk about the daddy issues, but is it pretty much the same on that side of the spectrum as well? Is the mother just as detrimental to that relationship?
Oh, yeah, because usually we look towards mothers in society and just the way that mothers are wired. So it's conditioned, it's nature and nurture. We look to them to be the loving, gentle space, right? And so if a child, male or female, has mommy issues, most likely they're not able to show up emotionally vulnerable with you. They are hyper independent. They are mistrustful. They are mean. They are cold. They are callous. You talk about those calloused emotions, right? I had to learn how to survive a relationship with my mother for 18 years. I did not get the love and the nurturing that I needed. In order for me to stay alive, I had to learn how to make that okay. So I cannot just turn that emotion back on at 19 when I walk out of my mother's house, when I am conditioned now. This is reflexive. I don't even know that I'm doing it. So when you're like, damn, why do you act like that? Why are you so cold? Why do you just show up like that? Why are you being a you know what? Right? And she clicks off, because that is the place of comfort. That's the default. I'm in protection now. I'm protecting myself from you because you are coming at me. You are aggressive, so I'm defensive. So all of a sudden, I'm going to show up in every way that I've learned how to survive and protect myself. And that is in defense and putting a firm boundary up with you. You'll never get into the soft spaces with me, male or female, in that way.
And what does daddy issues cause? I get that, but what do daddy issues cause in particular to
Well, it depends on what the wound is. See, it's not, we oversimplify it. It depends on who your father was, either in his presence or his absence, right? And oftentimes when you have toxic masculinity, what you get there is boundaries. You get discipline, right? You don't often get love. You get discipline. You get lessons about how hard life is in order to prepare you to protect yourself and the family that you're going to go on to create. And so what happens is if fathers don't give the love in addition to the nurturing, even if they are physically present, but they are emotionally absent, what you will raise is children who just go on to be these highly, how do I describe it? Like highly type A, just achieve, produce. I am only as good as my accomplishments. So the weight of me just showing up and showing you that not only can I protect myself, but I can protect everybody around me. I can build whole civilizations because you taught me how to do it. I'm projecting strength because this is what you told me I needed. Forget all the weakness that goes along with it. My job is simply to show up and be the spine of the nation. And so if that's what you get, then you get people who don't know how to show up in love, who don't know how to show up in vulnerability, who don't know how to show up in softness, who believe that emotions are weak. So just stay in your thoughts and carry those out in your behaviors in a way that yields success.
Man, we talked about that a bit in that Jay Barnett episode. I can't wait.
Jay is what's up, Jay?
What's
wow.
good? So we're gonna get a list of referrals from you.
I can't.
I know all the people.
Okay.
I can imagine you do.
Yeah.
But we did, and we talked about how important it is for a young man in particular. But that's because we're talking to the men in that one, to know that the love from his father is not predicated upon his performance.
Mm-hmm.
In that episode, I actually even told the story of Kobe, because I used to love Kobe, man. I used to like just love seeing his little speeches, love seeing his interviews. I was really fascinated by his mindset. And when he went into his childhood one time, because his dad was also in NBA, a lot of people didn't know his dad just wasn't Kobe. But his dad actually told him one day after a game that wasn't good that, hey, look, no matter you have a good game, no matter if you have a good game or a bad game, I'm always going to love you.
Absolutely.
And he said that was the most freeing day of his entire of his life.
Yeah.
And he said that from that point on, he, was able to like really play. He felt like he was able to play to the best of his abilities with, I guess, without the tension associated with that, the pressure, if you will. And I think it is important for, young men or men and women at that, to be able to get that love. Because if not, it's like when you think about those kids that's going over balconies because they got to see on their test. That's like the opposite end of the spectrum of getting that. But I like to know those different things, because I like for the audience and even myself to understand the consequences of certain things, so we can be able to just identify our own, because a lot of times we really walking around with these issues and we've normalized them so much.
It's normal. We all got problems. Suck yours up. Yours ain't no better than mine, right?
Right.
But the only thing that, the most freeing thing that we could do for kids, really and truly, is for them to know, I'm always going to love you, and there is nothing that can ever happen that is going to change that love that I have for you. And I am always going to be here to support you. But even more importantly, the only thing that I want for you in this world is for you to be happy. Whatever makes you happy in this world, that is what I want you to pursue with your whole heart. But a lot of us can't give our children that because we weren't given that. And so our love is conditional. Our support is conditional, and we are not invested in their happiness. We're invested in their productivity, because that's what we were also positioned to be. So we were taught, sacrifice your happiness for the good of others, suck up your problems. Love is not enough. So sit here and perform. You have a job, and you owe me, and you owe everybody else around you. And I don't care how that makes you feel. F your feelings. Get this done. And that's what we are all cracking under the weight of, is simply just trying to show up and survive and get it done every day.
Wow.
First of all, Dr. Spirit, you hit every crevice we done had this
Did we
conversation.
hit them all? I know we were all over
let me
map.
tell you.
The chat,
sorry.
let me tell
I'm
you
sorry.
that I think it's kind of strange. I guess it's not. I guess it's to be expected, but it's just very emotional. Emotional in the chat.
They are in love with you. You don't know how many people are claiming that they needed this.
Yes.
Like it's over. It's over 1,000 people in here right now. And let me tell you, if right now you are feeling blessed, drop a blessed in the chat. If you needed this message
go
tonight,
back and read it. I want to
drop
see.
a blessed in the chat. If it's in the pre-record,
we got
I want to see it.
We got spoiled on this one.
Sunshine says she in tears.
My heart
right now.
This hit different tonight. Somebody said, Jesus, just drop the mic, please.
Yeah, I mean,
this is what healing looks like. You guys said you wanted to get some people free. So I said, let's tell the truth. Every time I come, I gotta, wherever I go, I've always learned that is my responsibility to always tell the truth.
You live in Atlanta too?
Yeah, I'm right here in Atlanta.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yes. Guys, should we get her back? Should we?
Well, I mean, it's
come on, I'll come every time you ask.
Yes, and yes. It's blessed all through the chat. So I mean, this is pretty much a wrap.
Let me tell y'all, I want y'all to know that y'all don't understand how much I appreciate you guys in here engaging and helping us grow and build a platform, because literally, like, you guys are a big part of why we're able to even attract Dr. Spirit, by you guys continuing to do the small things, continuing to like, to subscribe, to share this to other people, to engage in the chat, tell us who we need to go about bringing, giving us ideas and topics. All of those things are a major part of why we are here. So look, round of applause, Lionel, real quick for the initiates, because the initiates,
they did this, huh?
Y'all are so active, and we really use you guys as a big part of how we drive what direction we go as a platform.
That's dope.
So y'all are our North Star. So what I would like, if possible tonight, guys, can we get 10 initiates to go about joining here today? Let's go ahead and build the family.
The doors of the church are open.
It's open, y'all.
And so
it's open.
Spirit told us about a story. I know she didn't share on air, but it was actually an initiate. Who, I think he was your Uber driver.
Oh yeah, he was my Lyft driver, and I was in DC doing some work, and he was like, "Wait a minute, are you Spirit, like the Dr. Spirit from Atlanta, like the Love Ghost Spirit? Yo, I'm telling you, I know who you need to hook up with." And he was adamant about men wanting to have conversations about healing and relationships. And he was like, yo, I'm telling you, my boys down there, you got to hook up with these dudes. You got to. And so when you guys called about doing this, and I heard the name, and I was like, wait a minute, is that the same folks? So I know wherever he is driving around DC tonight, if I'm gonna have to go back in my Instagram and just drop the link in there, he is going to be in tears. He is going to be so happy. But, in real talk, let me say this before we get out of here. I just want to commend both of you, because as men, y'all need to be leading these conversations. As Black men, y'all need to be modeling these conversations. You need to be talking about these things. Women want to know that this matters to you. Men want to have a safe space to know that it's okay to do all of this. So I just hope that you guys just keep doing it for a lifetime. Please, in all seriousness, please.
Absolutely. I received that, and we will.
And just know, I mean, I can be funny too. I got jokes and stuff. I mean, they might be kind of corny. They might be mom jokes and stuff, but I'm an intellect too. I can do a whole lot of things.
Oh, no, we're going to bring you back. We got a lot of conversations.
First of all, it is, we have not even seen the whole tip of the iceberg.
No, I'm a grown woman. We're full grown over here. We can talk about all the things.
God. I mean, you look so good.
I love you.
Let me tell you, Dr. Spirit, but you got some time in this game and in this space. People don't know how long you've been in here. How long have you been in the game?
It's been at least since 2002. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology. I got 2 master's degrees and a PhD. I got a group practice. I've been doing this. I've been seeing clients since 2003.
And then you still put up 7 babies and got a husband.
18 years, happy marriage.
Yeah, 7 babies. And listen, tell them about when did you have
baby?
When did you have? Tell them that you just listen. First of all, you had a child at 42 years old.
Yeah.
How were you able to make sure, like, keep your body so strong and it's in this place to be able to have a healthy and successful pregnancy.
Well,
at
by
that
the
age.
time I got to 7, I believe in playing with my children. So, the body was just already conditioned for it at that point. I'm not one of the parents that like are on their cell phone and sitting on the chair while my child is out there swinging. I'm chasing and running and playing. I'm lifting both of them. We're doing all the things. And so I think it's more about a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I believe that at every age, it is more about, do you want the child? Do you want the family? Do you want to be a mother at that stage? And I've always wanted every single pregnancy that I had. It was kind of like, are we going to do this? All right, let's do it. And then the next month or two, that would be what it is, right? So for me, it is about being intentional. It's a joy. It's not a burden. And that just helps. It just helps.
It's people in the chat like, see, Ryan, you can marry a professional woman.
Oh, is that you didn't think that you could?
Well, I think it's some difficulties, but I was actually going to ask you about that off camera because to be married for 18 years.
On camera, they need it.
Okay, so to be married for 18 years, happy marriage, 7 kids, recent baby, as recent as 5 years.
I love how y'all
ago.
think a 5-year-old is recent. I'm with you though.
I mean,
kindergarten. She's grown now. Recent is baby to me, but okay.
And the thing is, you are very accomplished, Dr. Spirit.
You are.
Extremely accomplished. So how do you? I don't even know how to ask this question without sounding misogynistic.
No. Ask it. There is no such thing. Come on. Well, there is, but
how you make all this money and have all these babies?
How do you do it? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How do you keep your man happy, be able to take care of all these kids, nurture the family, and still be able to have this level of success that you have?
Well, I would say for us, it's about having true partnership. Right. I literally had to beg and plead and eventually was able to get him to come into the business with me. He used to say, there's nothing for me to do here. Why would you want to come over? And I would be like, I could really use all those skills in order for us to really do this and do this better. I think that you are the most brilliant person that I have ever met in this space. I promise if you will sit in that space, I will stay in my lane in this space and we can make each other better. Right. So that gives us the opportunity to really do that. But I think it was my mom who gave me the best advice when I was really young. And she said, you can have it all. You can do every last thing that you want to do. You just may not be able to do it all at once. And so what I learned is, she said, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, you just keep going because the time is going to pass regardless. The question will be, when you get to that point in time, will you have accomplished what it is that you want? So there were times, and people will tell you, my husband will tell you, there were times that, especially with my 12 and 13-year-old, right? They are literally 10 months apart. My 5 and 7, they are like 15 months apart, something like that. But there were times where I was in graduate school and I would be nursing one baby on one side and nursing another baby on the other side, and literally have the laptop in front of me, hitting one button at a time. Committed, though, that I'm going to finish this degree because I wanted these children, but I also wanted this career. And so at the end of the day, there were a lot of people along the way. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it was like, oh, okay. But fortunately, I'm not doing it for you. So I don't have to believe nor prove anything to you. Right. And it wasn't no shade. It was just, I knew what I wanted for myself. So I knew how to make the way, and having a supportive partner, I was never alone in that. So, oftentimes he is the one that's leading in the front in the household when I'm in there leading in the office, and then vice versa, where I need him to do that. And then we have the kids. And it is really about, do you want it enough to make the sacrifices? Because a friend of mine said, his name is Chris Simon. What up, Chris? Chris said that everything that you do comes with a cost, even success. And so when you succeed in one area, it is costing you something in another.
It is.
And you simply have to decide, is the price a price I'm willing to pay? And so if you are succeeding, if we're all here tonight, which means that there are loved ones that we are not spending time with, it's costing us, right? And when we leave here, we will go off and do other things, which is costing you the investment in what you're doing here. Right. And so we have to look at our lives and prioritize what is most important to me. What, when I get to the finish line, if I do not complete, if I do not give to myself, will I have shortchanged myself? Will I have betrayed myself? And no matter how long it takes me to get it, do I want it enough that I'm willing to continue to pursue it with the energy and the dedication and the passion necessary in order to make it happen? And I promise you, if it's really your passion, you better complete it. Because if you don't, it will be the thing that nags at you for your entire life. It will call you back over and over and over. And so it is better to be obedient to your passion and to your assignment than to turn your back on it and deal with the consequence of the pain that comes with that.
I like that.
Seriously.
No, that gives a lot. People need to reflect on that more, because I don't know. We like the idea of things, but we really don't want to deal with the cost.
Oh yeah, listen, we like the show. We like the show, not the business.
Oh
right. We like how it looks, but we don't necessarily want the labor that goes with it. So I ask people, do you want the thing or you want the experience? Because the experience is where you're going to be living. The thing is going to be the snapshot. That goes away in an instant.
It lasts for a second.
Come on.
Come
on, somebody. You see how we all snap? Because we knew, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you know. And so you really have to ask yourself. That's why even when I was talking to these folks about the experiences that they're having, there is no simple moment for you to get to. The labor and the experience and the value is in the journey. It is in the journey, and the details of it all is the life that you are actually living.
You know, when I think about the people that are willing to spend, because that's what it is, right? Like you invest your time in these different areas of your life. A lot of that is predicated upon your value system.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's why it's just so important for people. Like the only reason me and Ryan can successfully do this business and the business prior was because we got similar values, meaning we willing to sacrifice here, and we're okay with whatever else we're losing to build whatever we build.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important too, you know, for alignment in your partnership, in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's something that's very important that you want, if your family is something that you will sacrifice over and back for, work whatever way you got to do to make it happen, you better make sure your partner's value system is aligned with that, to make sure they open to sacrificing just as much as you. And that's just a very key aspect of, you know, having, you know, success happen in groups.
Which is why communication constantly and perpetually is so important. I tell people all the time, do not ever think that you know your partner. I don't care how long you've been together, because you are constantly evolving every day.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that your partner has changed in what they think or what they feel, you will wake up one day and they will be so far on the left and you will be so far on the right, and you will not be able to figure out how you got there. So you have to stay constantly in communication with each other to make sure that the direction that you're headed in and the relationship that you are building is intentional and houses both of your needs in order for you to thrive. It is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, you'll be like, wait a minute, I thought that we were committed to this business. And they're like, I will walk away from this business today if you or these kids are not good. Well, I wouldn't want you to do that. I'm not going to build a business if you're going to be focused on building a family. And all of a sudden, it's the unspoken needs and expectations that cause relationships to fall apart. So you have to keep communicating, and you have to make sure that you stay on the same page, or at least in the same book, and know who's writing what, and what's a comma, what's a period, and what's a new chapter.
Yep.
Real talk.
Man, real talk.
that.
Listen, let me tell y'all, we're gonna let y'all go, because we're gonna mess around and be on here for a whole nother 30 minutes. If y'all was trying to play with us.
Spirit, you well conditioned for this thing.
No. Like she really got another hour or two.
Yes.
I could tell usually when my guests are getting worn, and I gotta she's like warmed up.
No, this energizes me. You guys you guys don't know. I grew up in radio. I started in radio. I used to do 4 hours of radio 6 nights a week.
Oh, so this is nothing.
I see clients. I used to see clients at the peak. I was seeing clients 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, wow. I eat this.
Yeah, she like, this is a light jog.
Yeah,
right,
tell
right.
us. Yeah, this is a workout.
I mean, you literally got the same energy you came in with.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go home and make love to my husband. I'm gonna do all the good stuff, and then go home and get ready to work tomorrow. Oh yeah, absolutely. We got to do after dark at some point. He said Slayer.
Yeah, that's what's up.
All of that. Look, now he's gonna be like, remember what you had said. You had told all of them, so I'm gonna expect that when I get home. I promise you, I'm gonna make it happen.
Hey, look, we're gonna end it just for you, player, because it is coming to you tonight. All right. But let me tell you,
we hit those memberships, by the way. Shout out to iRobber. Shout out to Freshly New. Shout out to Chanel W. Shout out to Goddess Clemens. And shout out to Mia Minion. That's one of the young ladies you answered the super chat for. She was so appreciative. She just dropped 5 memberships.
Wow. Gifted the family. The
Shout out to you,
initiates. We are growing. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, anybody who sent the super chat, anybody who wants to contribute and continues to send to the Cash App, to the PayPal. All the things y'all send allows us to continue to reinvest and build our platform. Because let me tell y'all, the things that we have in store and the vision that we have for the people is massive. And we are going to continue to do it right alongside y'all. Y'all watching it happen every single day, especially at Monday and Wednesday night at 8 p.m. So y'all better come tune in next Wednesday. This Wednesday is going to be an absolutely amazing show. We are actually having Ro. I don't know if y'all know my girl from Country Wayne. We're going to have Ro up on this joint. We're going to have Rolanda Rochelle on here with Mrs. Ernestine Morrison together. It is going to be a phenomenal show. Y'all definitely do not want to miss that. And y'all already know how we do. We're going to deliver. And while I get off here with y'all, I'm going to talk to Dr. Spirit about when we're going to get her back. You got to look, we're going to set this up nice, fast.
Let's go.
And
Let's
quick.
go.
But listen, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Spirit, for
Thank
coming up
you.
in here and blessing us.
My pleasure.
Thank you
guys
so much.
I love you.
And y'all already know, hardly initiated. We are out.